innovation and research. And the reason we have been given this responsibility to be the specialized agency to coordinate this indicator. So in brief, the Commission has a number of functions which I will not go through, but we can combine them into this broader sense, the 4 functions. Out of the 17 functions, you can collapse them into 4. One of it is regulatory, and I'm very sure most of you are familiar with us around that function in regulating the sector, ensuring quality assurance, research licensing. The advisory, the Commission is a responsibility of advising the government on the matters science, technology, and innovation, and also promoting the matters science, technology, and innovation, partly, and even the reason why we are here. STI mainstreaming is one of the tools that we are promoting, the science, technology, and innovation. And also, again, it's also a coordinator within the sector. So just to see or to bring you quick to speed, why STI mainstreaming is important to us as a country is because of this law that established the Commission, the Science, Technology, and Innovation Act 2013. This law was enacted with a clear purpose that as a country, what we wanted to achieve. And the law as it is, has summarized it into those 3 functions. But I just only want to highlight the function number 3, that the reason this piece of legislation is in place is to entrench the science, technology, and innovation into our production system. And this is what now connects all of us, all the institutions in this country, because we all are trying to leverage on science, technology, and innovation to execute our mandates and to deliver services for what we exist to do. So this was the intention of this law. So we are using performance contract platform to mainstream matters science, technology, and innovation. I just wanted to emphasize on this so that as we are discussing this, also take it as a national agenda. This is what we wanted as Kenyan stakeholder. This is what the government thought it would be a vehicle that will help our country into entrenching the matters science, technology, and innovation into our programs and activities. So quickly, to our discussion today is this STI mainstreaming indicator, and I'm very sure you have all interacted with the guidelines, the performance contract guideline for the 21st cycle. And this is how the indicator has been broken into 2 streams, stream A and B. And what we are calling stream A is for the new entrants, those who are welcoming for the first time in this indicator. And even those who have been there before, who have not been able to develop their STI mainstreaming strategy. So you've been given an opportunity this year to develop your STI mainstreaming strategy and also implement the same. So again, because this strategy is a critical document for us to get it right in entrenching matters, science, technology, and innovation. Stream B will capture for those who have been the indicator for a while, and you have already had your STI mainstreaming strategy established, and there will be key elements. Because when you look at the stream B, the key focus now is more of output led or focused other than the processes led. That's why we are picking the issues of collaboration and partnership in research, science, technology, and innovation, a very important aspect, and then technologies developed. And we're very glad and innovations and all those. We are speaking today primarily to our TVETs institutions that are actually the home for innovations and creativity. So again, this is a very important indicator for yourselves. So this is what forms our discussions today, because we want to break down these 4 bullets for stream A and B. How do we take care of them? How do we approach them? And what will be our methodology? So quickly, in a nutshell, we will be guided by these 4 objectives. But the key thing is try to facilitate the effective implementation of the STI mainstreaming indicator. And as you'll be told in a short while, NACOSTI, as a specialized agency for the purpose of this indicator, it is our core business to ensure that you are able to implement this indicator effectively. That's where the basis for us committing to be having this session every quarter. So one of the things that we will have at the end of the day, we want to share the requirements for this indicator so that you're able to get the feel, what is required, what you need to do, what are the instruments and the resources that is required. We also want to, because of the nature of how it has been broken down, we want to provide a guide as you are developing your annual work plan. We know this is a document that we'll be expecting as you report for your quarter one report the next couple of days. So we provide a guide so that you just quickly pick and select the item that you're able to implement. And also reporting is very important because all this, we have our reporting framework, and reporting is online. Pay some attention to just to assist you, because in the next few days you'll be reporting so that we are on the same page as how we are interacting with the indicator. And finally, we just had to bring ourselves up to speed in terms of the ecosystem and the current trends and what are the requirements around there. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we are set to discuss in this half a day section. So welcome. Feel free to participate around all these issues, prepare your comment and question so that we are able to get it right around that. And I want to stop there so that we can have the first presentation for the requirement and what we are calling what are the requirements for this indicator, what is needed, and all that, and the basis and the background. So with me this morning is we have a number of panelists from NACOSTI and a resource person from outside NACOSTI who will be ready and standby to address yourself and respond to your comments. Let me invite the first presenter so that we are able to start in time. What we will do, we will be able to have an opportunity to get to know, because today we have invited the champion, the focal persons, and the PC coordinators. So we want to believe we start with what are your responsibility and what will be your requirement, what do you need to do, and how you need to handle that. Again, I also want to take this opportunity because of the nature of the changes. Today we are dealing with the TVETs, but other colleagues from across the government sectors, different state departments, you're also welcome, because the content, the agenda is the same. We want to make this indicator more simplified, well understood, and we can be able to be all on the same page. But the key thing is we want to agree that science, technology, and innovation are critical elements for our institutions, for our country, and for our region. So this, when we see you in numbers, we feel encouraged, because this is what we set to do. Just in a few minutes, we'll be able to load the first presentation, and that will give us a kickstart our session for the day. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, in a few minutes, we will be able to have our first presentation. But just to reiterate what I have stated before, kindly take advantage of the Q&A section to really let us get your feel, let us get your challenges and all that. But this being the first sensitization for the quarter, for this current financial year, we will really focus mainly on try to break it down for yourself. In the subsequent quarters, we will be able to see how you are responding. Yes, and what we also want to really encourage you, we want to expand the team and for your assistance, because I understand some of the challenges perhaps you'll be having is seeking the assistance outside or beyond this sensitization. We're going to endeavor to have a team on standby. And I know particularly for the next 2 weeks before you report by 15th, it will be a critical moment for us to position ourselves better to address your concerns and your challenges. As I indicated earlier, it is the core business of NACOSTI to make it easier for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think at this juncture, I will invite the first speaker for this morning, Javan Mwiti, to take us through
Thank you so much, Dr. Gigi. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry for that small interruption and some technical challenges from our end, but now I hope you can be able to see my screen. My name is Javan Mwiti, as it has been indicated. I'll be taking you through the implementation process of this indicator, and more so experience sharing and sharing of the best practices, so that as MDAs, as TVET institutions, we are able to implement and attain what is expected of us in implementation of the indicator. I hope you can hear me well. It's my hope you can be able to hear me well. Thank you. Slideshow, sorry, let me put it. It's not a slideshow. Yeah, this one. Yeah, thank you. I hope now you can be able to clearly see my slides. As I'm indicated earlier, the essence basically is for us to look at the indicator, what is expected, what are the best implementation processes that we can infuse, so that at the end of it all, we can be able to attain what is expected. And quickly, because I know we have many of us who are joining us for the very first time, we're implementing, starting from where we are in 21st cycle of the performance contracting guidelines for this indicator, we'll be able to help you get what is expected in terms of implementation and previously what has been happening, and quickly to take you back, the indicator, this indicator as STI implementation was brought in our performance contracting platform from 18 cycle, that is 18 cycle performance contracting guidelines. But of course, most of you know who have been in the process that we used to have it as R&D, research and development, within our core mandate. And with of course enactment of the Act, STI Act, and which was revised later, there was that need to ensure that we cover the entire ecosystem of research, science, technology, and innovation. And even now, the indicator, of course, is within your core mandate. Quickly, just to put you to speed, because I know you're implementing your PCs, you have already negotiated for your PCs, and traditionally, any cross-cutting indicator that under specialized agency like the one that now we are undertaking through NACOST, you are supposed ideally to have negotiated with the NACOST in terms of what you are committing. But there have been a lot of improvement in implementation of performance contract. This time around, once the specialized agency clearly identifies the indicator and it's well reflected within the guidelines, the guidelines allows you probably to get more information on the same, either from the specialized agency, whether from their website, and all that for an effective implementation. So the role of NACOST in this, basically as a specialized agency, is to ensure they develop the indicator. And that indeed they have already done. You already have the indicator, you have negotiated, and I know most of you are waiting for vetting. And once you have negotiated the indicator, the assumption is that already the indicator is part and parcel of what you have agreed as an institution to implement. So that's already done. They will receive, analyze, and provide feedback. We are technically in second quarter. Second quarter starting today because we're in October. And the guidelines are very clear that the reporting is 15 months after the end, 15 days, sorry, after the end of the quarter. So by the 15th of this month, the expectation is that you should develop your report and submit to NACOST, who are expected again within 15 days after receiving your report to analyze and give you the feedback. So it is very critical to note that now you're in the process of developing your first quarter report. And I know you'll be taken through the work plan and the reporting process. You'll be able to know what are the main expectations in first quarter. We appreciate that this time around we are under a unique challenge. Remember, this is the first time in the history of performance contracting that we are negotiating, or probably we are reporting for the first quarter when some of us even finished the negotiation as early as last week. So it's a unique challenge. But again, because we have a work plan, the beauty is that you'll be able to schedule the activities that were to happen in first quarter, and of course we are not able to do so, then you'll be able to schedule them in your second, third, and fourth quarter. So there is that room, so that as you plan, because you are the one who is planning, you ensure that now the activities that you missed to implement in July, August, and September, those activities can be taken care of from second quarter. So indeed, there is that room. So again, NACOST providing technical support as we are doing today. They are building your capacity so that you have the ability and what it takes to effectively and efficiently implement this indicator. So this is a very critical role for specialized agency. You remember in 2024, 2025, during our sector meeting, we retired quite a number of cross-cutting indicators. So this time around, there are few in core mandate. We have STI, Science, Technology, Innovation, and we have productivity mainstreaming within our core business, or basically core mandate. And then again, under cross-cutting, we have two, that is asset. We have asset and we have national values. So basically, that's how we are approaching those are our specialized agencies. Access the annual performance, and of course, issue, communicate the result. Like for example, 2023, 2024, you go to the website, you'll be able to see your score. This again demands that you effectively implement your activities, whichever stream, whether it will be in stream A or B, within the 4 quarters, so that at the end of it, you are able to participate and will be evaluated based with that participation. And of course, lastly, you submit your report to NACOST, and we have seen clearly you are submitting that by 15th, before 15th of this month. That means, and I know you have gone through the guidelines, you'll be penalized if you don't report within the specified period. Reporting within the period is very important because, again, as I said earlier, you give the specialized agency, and for this case, NACOST, time to evaluate, give you a feedback so that you may know how you performed in that quarter, so that as you go to the next quarter, you can use that as an input to improve what you'll be doing, and that is very critical. And again, since you are reporting for many other indicators within the period of time, from a best practice perspective is you ensure that each of the quarter, you do what is expected. You do all the reports, you liaise with the performance contracting department or directorate or whoever is concerned with your PC, so that you can have a very good approach in terms of ensuring you comply. Looking at science is creation of knowledge, the application of the same is technology, and the application of technology is innovation. So basically, looking at the scope, so that this helps us to know, for example, there are some of us who may necessarily not, probably you're not fully in science, you're not fully in technology, innovation. This gives you a room to identify where you belong. But the beauty is that most of the MDs that you are meeting today, you are around all these skill areas. You are in research, you're in science, you're in technology, you're in innovation. And basically that helps you in terms of ensuring that you're able to implement what is expected. Why STI? I think this was canvassed and to be canvassed later. Very simple, in a very simple way, is for socioeconomic development. For us to differentiate ourselves, for the economy, for us as a country to differentiate ourselves in relation to socioeconomic development, that, and of course, science, technology, and innovation is very, very critical. And I know you can easily connect that with what is happening around. It's critical from what we have committed as a country and what is expected of us. In terms of relevance, as I indicated, this indicator is within your mandate. And that again tells us that as you set, if you look at your performance contract, the first criteria is financial stewardship. Within it, that's where you are setting the budget, the approval process of your budget, where you are clearing, where you are raising internal resources, where again you are attracting externally funded, or probably you are looking at external funds. And basically you are looking at even your bills, your pending bills, you are clearing those pending bills so that you can be able to sustain the institution. It's around that whereby you now agree as an institution, this is our budget, and the budget, of course, is supposed to carry certain activities. Those activities that are within your budget basically are the core mandate. They are core activities, projects, and programs that you're supposed to be undertaking as an institution. So out of that, and this is clearly also connected with your strategic plan, because again, in implementation of your strategic plan, you'll be doing the implementation matrix, which is actualized by annual work plans moving forward. So the annual work plans will have those objectives, those strategies, those issues that you want to pursue as you have indicated within your SP. And that helps you again, because again, you remember when you're formulating your strategic plan, the first thing you identified were the strategic issues that you want to carry forward, or you want to address. Because unless you address them, then you cannot be able to attain your objective or your mandate as an institution. So out of that, then as you plan, then matter science, technology, innovation to differentiate you, to help you as an enabler, to give you that competitive advantage in terms of a quick, efficient, and effective attainment of that which was purposed. So basically, you'll be looking at those objectives. You'll be setting metrics around the objectives, and those metrics should be speaking again to your intended mandate. And of course, at the end of it, we'll be looking at the growth outcomes, which are very critical. As you have been told earlier, the indicator now is more on impact. The indicator now is on more growth. I mean, we must be able to clearly see the outcomes, the growth outcomes of these objectives. And you agree with me when we are looking at the relevance of STI. That's exactly what science, technology, innovation is supposed to help you attain. So again, I've talked about relevance. And relevance is purely based on your mandate. You must connect. That's why your budget, your approved budget, is supposed to help you actualize your core mandate. Within your core mandate, that's where you have the programs that are addressing Vision 2030, addressing Africa agenda, if you have any SDGs, addressing better, addressing MTP4 and all that. So basically, that is very, very critical so that you can talk of that inclusion. For us to be able to do this, of course, we must look at Vision 2030, which lays the basis of all what we are doing as a country. And within it, and you can do the follow-up from the first time we had MTP1, all the way now to the current MTP3 that ended in 2022, which was actualized by the Big Four agenda, basically. And then we have MTP4, which is being actualized by Better, or which is the vehicle for Better. But ideally, MTP4 is the basis of actualizing Vision 2030 on 5-year basis. So there is that relationship, there is that connection, which is very, very critical. Looking at Vision 2030, basically looking at the pillars under Vision 2030, we normally have the enablers and the micro foundations. And this is where science, technology, and innovation is. It's an enabler. And you'll be seeing in my next slide that indeed is an enabler. It's a key enabler for actualization of that. I wanted us to look at it, sorry. So looking at this in terms of relevance, again, sorry, let me go back to, yes. So looking at it, looking at science, technology, innovation, as we see, this is a fundamental driver. There is the issue of public safety and national security, socioeconomic development. Basically, science, technology, innovation has been clearly indicated or spelled out clearly in the implementation matrix of MTP4. It is very, very clear. Most of you followed the development of MTP4 from the conception note, from the concept note that emanated from Treasury. You realize that matter, science, technology, innovation have been given a lot of priority. There are projects that were marked. In fact, if you look at MTP3, it was very, very clear, even the project, programs and activities that were supposed to be actualized by the Big Four agenda, which ideally is supposed to be integrated now within BETTER, the 5 pillars of BETTER. So there is that relationship, which is very, very critical. And as someone, as a focal person, as a champion who is implementing this indicator, you must have that broad view of exactly what is expected to be done by your institution in relation to attain the intended purpose or the objectives of science, technology, and innovation. Quickly, I've talked about Vision 2030 and the enablers, and these are the 9 enablers. These are the 9 enablers per sector under Vision 2030. Basically, the foundations. These are the foundations of Vision 2030. And if you look at it, infrastructure, science, technology, innovation, all the way to information and communication and technology. And that's why, for example, if you look at number 9, information, communication, technology, and number 2, that's where under service delivery in our performance contract, we have digitalization. If we look at the entire process of digitalization that government is pushing again through BETTER, then you realize there's that close relationship. So we must be able to see this. For us to be able to do what is expected of us, we must clearly segregate the role of research, science, technology, and innovation. Quickly, these are the strategies. If you look at directly from Vision 2030, to leverage STI for technological industrial development, STI awareness, and all that. Basically, this is emphasis again of what I'm talking about so that we are able to get it. PC as a platform to canvas matters STI mainstreaming. And I know this has been mentioned as we're going through. Performance contracting is a mere platform that has been used to ensure that government is able to canvas matters, critical matters of national importance across MDAs. And STI is one of the indicators that has utilized this platform. And I know most of you have been in this process knows that they're utilizing the platform because it is an efficient and one of the most effective way of mainstreaming. Of course, a time will come when the indicator will mature and it will basically be able to run on its own, to run the course on its own without necessarily the PC indicator. But again, for now, as you've been told, it's 4 years. This is the 4th year of implementation. We want to interact with it and ask ourselves, when we talk about mainstreaming in the relation of the PC platform, then what are we saying? We are simply looking at the entire planning process of the institution. And I know most of you are in planning departments. And you realize that from Vision 2030, that's a planning document, MTP4s and all that. At an institutional level, the government is able to ensure that that is done through your work plans, through your SP, where you develop your work plans. Performance contracting is just one of the way. Because you realize out of your work plan, performance contracting or your PC will take probably around 15% to 20% of 100% of your work plan, meaning the remaining almost 80% must be actualized through your work plans. So there are many other activities that needs to be done. They may not necessarily be within your PC, but ideally, they are actualized outside or within the domain of PC through your work plans, meaning you have activities. You have committed activities through STI, but there will be other activities that are contributing to science, technology, innovation that you're actually doing within your work plan and not necessarily within your PC. So that relationship is very critical, and we must have a way of monitoring and evaluating and ensuring that that indeed is done, so that as probably you report on quarterly basis is internally for your PC, then of course you have a mechanism that also monitors your work plans, because your work plans carry about 80% of what was not captured within your PC, so that there is that relationship. Then there is evaluation, there is midterm evaluation, there is midterm and end term in most cases, if it is for your SP, whereby you are looking at monitoring and evaluation against the impact, which ideally is the end term. So that relationship is very critical from an implementation perspective, so that you can effectively end up with the most effective and efficient implementation process. I've talked about PC, looking at performance contracting basically, and the pillars that constitute performance contracting as a way. One of the most critical aspects, because we said again, this is a platform for us to mainstream science, technology, innovation, is whereby you are doing the criteria and the targets. Remember, this is where you are setting the metrics. This is where you are looking at your objectives. You are looking at your KRIs, key result areas. You are breaking them down to your objectives, and then you are setting targets around that. So out of it is the linkage with the planning. How do you then plan that? How do you ensure that all those activities that you are doing then have the budgetary support? Because again, the first document you should have is the approved budget, meaning from a planning perspective, the budget has the procurement plan. It has taken care of all the aspects that you want to do within the financial year, so that at the end of it, then you talk about expected outcome. And I think that is the real business of the indicator. Look at the activities within the what has been prescribed in your indicator. Ideally, they're supposed to be measured in relation to expected outcome. Because out of the outcome is where we measure the impact, the expected impact. For example, if it's collaborations, technologies developed, applied, and all that, the outcome is the most critical thing. How are we changing the country? How are we able to transform our country from the domain of science, technology, and innovation for us to get what is expected? So basically, the relationships, the leakages are very critical. We must be able, as focal persons and champions, be able to see that for us to talk about mainstreaming, for us to talk about successive implementation of what is the body and the spirit of this indicator. Again, mainstreaming means it must be within the entire cycle. It must be within the bigger picture. From like, for example, if you look at, if I can pick like negotiation and vetting, you see negotiation, you are doing it with your mother ministry, where Treasury is supposed to be represented. Because if you look at your PC, the person signing the CS education, for example, if in that ministry and Treasury. The essence of that is to ensure that those activities that you're negotiating on, they are fully covered under your budget. And that is the spirit. We may not be necessarily there to ensure that all our activities are covered and our budgets are very sufficient, but ideally that is the spirit. That is what is expected. Then you look at the entire process from midterm review, from cascading. Cascading is critical because that's where you have appointment of champions, because champions ideally should come from those lower respective units, lower units within the institution, so that you can talk about successive and effective cascading process to ensure that what has been agreed upon, you're able to attain it. Looking at PC again, because again, PC we said is a platform for us to do this. It has 7 criteria. And out of those 7 criteria, we realize again, this is where criteria number 1 takes care through the approved budget. Core mandate is where we say these are your real business, and that's where we have STI mainstreaming. And again, for us to be able to successfully be able to implement this, then we must get it right. In terms of the weighting, you realize that where STI mainstreaming, you have a weight of 65% in terms of unit for the entire core mandate. And out of this, basically is where you have science, technology, innovation, and it carries 2% of the same as we'll be seeing. So that again shows the weight that the priority and the weight that has been given to ensure that we attain the expected results. Yeah, I'm trying to move my slides. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I summarize on this line, specifically on the PC platform, what we are saying is that we must get the integration. When you talk about mainstreaming, the question should be, what is the scope? How adequate and sufficient is it when we talk about it? When we say want to mainstream, how can we, at what point, once we set our target, at what point do we say we decided to walk this journey? And we can ask ourselves, how far we covered out of what was planned, out of what we expected? And that's, of course, we know monitoring and evaluation on quarterly basis. You can see where the indicator is and the percentage weight that it undertake or it takes. So quickly, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be looking at the main requirement of this indicator. And one of the key thing that you should have within the indicator is the focal person and champions. And this is critical because you're either appointing or reappointing. For effective implementation of mainstreaming this indicator, focal persons and champions are very critical. And we are happy today we're interacting with you. We're interacting with both focal person and champions, which is part of preliminary requirement for you to be able to undertake the indicator. The roles of the focal person, and the roles have always been there since the 18th cycle, and is to ensure overall coordination. So our focal persons who are with us today, it is your responsibility to ensure successful implementation of this indicator as per the expectations of 2024-25 PC guidelines. So it is your role to ensure that the indicator is effectively and efficiently implemented within your institution. Number two, you provide necessary support for the various levels. You ensure that support across. That is your role so that we have a successive implementation. You plan and ensure sensitization and capacity building. For example, like today, we are doing sensitization for you. It is the responsibility of the focal person to ensure that this happens within the respective plan period. If, for example, it's first quarter, second quarter, you liaise with NACOST. We ensure that if, for example, you want the direct assistance from NACOST, you liaise with them. If you want to do internal, like now we are building your capacity today, we expect you as you go back tomorrow and moving forward, we also build capacity for other persons under you so that everyone can understand what is expected. You coordinate development and implementation of STI strategy. You realize if you're developing the STI strategy or you're implementing, it is the role of the focal person to ensure that happens. So how sufficient and adequate this is done, it is within the domain of the focal person. Establish and implement monitoring and evaluation mechanism. Again, you can borrow from what is existing because your PC already, your performance contract coordinators have already established a very clear monitoring and evaluation mechanism. You can borrow, you can ride on that, or you can have, you can develop others based with how effective and efficient it is. Promoting collaborations and partnership. Again, this is an indicator for Stream B, but basically, again, this is the role of the focal person to ensure that collaborations and partnerships across, within and outside established. Promotion of STI and ensure quarterly and annual report are submitted to NACOST as per the guidelines. So again, anytime we have delay in terms of submission of quarter report, the person responsible is the focal person. You should ensure now between today and the 15th, all the reports that are needed are submitted. This report on STI mainstreaming, you ensure it has been submitted so that at the end of it all, you comply with the guidelines. As I said, you are penalized. If you don't comply with what the guidelines is, you are penalized at a point of 0.05 of the overall cumulative score that you have as an institution, which is unnecessary because you can comply and ensure what needs to be done is done. So who should be a focal person? Ideally, should be either in top or middle level management. And this is important, of course, for effective and efficient communication and attainment of what is expected. And of course, he must be overseeing issues on research, science, technology, and innovation. He or she should be able to understand matters, interacted with matters. You can know much of this even by what NACOST does in terms of building your capacity. You can participate in these trainings. You can be able to ensure that you get more information, but ideally that is the fair consideration of who should be a focal person. So for a focal person, in summary, it is expected that you have a letter that appoints you as a focal person, and the focal person becomes the chair of the STI mainstreaming committee of your institution. The other members are champions. So you can have one letter appointing the focal person, and then within it, the name of the focal person who is the chair, and then the members who are the champions, who are the members of that committee. So basically, that is the way to go. And quickly, let's look at the champions. Who are the champions? Again, depending with your size, how big, small your institution needs. You can have 1, 2, 3, whatever the number. But the most important thing is that at least ensure fair representation of almost all departments. So that as you report, as you realize when you'll be going through reporting, information comes from various units and departments. So if you don't get it right in terms of having fair representation, you'll struggle in terms of getting that information. So that is critical. So they ensure day-to-day implementation. That is the role of the champion. Ensure that on daily basis, you're able to monitor, you're able to ensure implementation, and what needs to be done is done. They facilitate in cascading the STI indicator activities. Again, as you said, remember there's somewhere I touched about cascading in my previous lines. Cascading simply means that you are able to ensure at the lowest level ever within the organization that all matters, all the activities marked for implementation are done and implemented as it is expected. They prepare for and forward quarterly reports to the focal person. And again, this happens, of course, on continuous basis, so that as you report now for this quarter by 15th, then all the information is ready. You sit down as a committee, evaluate the report from the various champions, then you make now your report to NACOST. You provide timely information on the required information in terms of evaluation. Again, this is very critical, because unless we do that, then implementation becomes a challenge. So the champion plays a very critical role in summary, because these are the people who ensure that what needs to be done is done within their respective areas. So next is for the focal persons. They undertake continuous monitoring and evaluation. I've talked about it. They ensure capacity building. We are building your capacity today. So you also go ahead and build your capacity. You can always also request through the focal person. You can request in NACOST. Either you can participate in NACOST every quarter or do a capacity building for champions and focal persons. But you can always also request for face-to-face or demand-driven capacity building, which can help you. You ensure that activities in terms of STI are promoted and necessary support is given to the process owners, so that within your area, people understand what is expected and they do exactly that. So for the champions, basically, those are the expectations in summary. And the next question is, who should be a champion? And this is very simple, because I know you are running other change management programs. Champions are those persons who are able to transform and lobby others. You must have passion. You must be able to lobby others to support matters, science, technology, and innovation. And of very important, they are appointed from different departments within the organization. So eligibility, who should participate in this indicator? As I said, this indicator is an enabler for Vision 2030. So everyone participating in Vision 2030 should actually have a role to play in research, science, technology, and innovation. But of course, them that with a component of research, them that are implementing MTP4, implementing better, implementing Vision 2030, all those ones. And I'm happy today, all of us really are eligible to implement the indicator. The list of who should be there, who should be implementing, you can find it in a NACOST website. That is already provided. You can always find it. Quickly, let's look at 2022, how the indicator looked like previously before we look at the commitment of this year. This is how the indicator was. You are developing a strategy and implementing certain interventions. So the STI strategy, that was the first requirement in 2022. And then out of that, those activities that you implement, of course, you have to document research programs, you ensure annual budgetary allocation, and undertake research and technology and innovation. So basically, this is just to show the many of us who are joining us for the very first time, the journey, the roadmap, how the indicator has been changing of time and where we started. And then, of course, we have to disseminate research findings. These were a commitment of 2022, 2023. For 2024, which was last year, Again, here you are appointing or you're appointing a focal person and champions. That was the enabling environment. And then, of course, you are either developing or implementing institution STI strategy, and then you develop and implement a work plan, and you submit your report. It was very, very straightforward last year. But again, most of us, as you'll be seeing from the data that will be presented later, will be able to see how many were able to develop the STI. What was the percentage number of them that were able to develop the STI strategy? How many are onboarding, probably in terms of developing and all that. But that was the indicator then for that period of time. For 2024-25, as we summarize, the enabling environment is number one, you must have a proper person. Either you appoint or reappoint, as it has been. You develop STI mainstreaming and work plan, which is within the reporting process. Training of the focal person, as we are doing today, and of course, sensitization of staff and stakeholders on STI. This is an enabling environment. You want to score here, but they're compulsory. You must be able to do this for you to be able to effectively implement the indicator. The activities for the year, and you have been taken through this through me. Of course, these are the new entrants. Here you are developing the STI strategy, and then you implement those issues that you have developed. You, of course, will have strategic issues within your STI strategy that you'll be developing. And of course, you'll be able to indicate accordingly in your work plan how you intend to do that. Then for B, many of us who have the STI strategy, number one is collaborations and partnerships, and technology develop or transferred and all that. And this has been amplified. This is how you find it directly from the guidelines. But again, the guideline says the specialized agency will provide more info in terms of what you need for you to have an effective and efficient implementation. So the amplified version, what I'm indicating is for stream B, for the more information that you need, and this will be taken through. You could be initiating collaborations, developing technologies, and all that. So basically, this will be taken through during the reporting. You'll be able to see what are other information that is available for you as you talk about, or probably even stream B. You'll be able to know exactly what are the real issues. For implementation and monitoring, which is very, very critical. And this is why we need to be sharing our experiences, because for you to successfully implement this indicator, the implementation framework, the monitoring framework must be very, very clear. You must be able to ensure you do things when you schedule them to happen. So basically, you are required to prepare and submit quarterly performance report on a cost 15 days after the end of the quarter. And the beauty is that today we are doing this sensitization when you are supposed to be preparing for your report. So we hope it will make it easier for you in terms of attaining that. And then those reports, once you submit to NACOST also use the next 15 days to give you a feedback. So this how to report, how to do it will be taken through it. But again, when you go to the website, it has been automated. I remember in 20th cycle, most of you requested that we simplify the reporting process, and NACOST handed that. And I'm sure when you'll be taken through the reporting process, you'll appreciate that indeed the process was simplified. It was automated to infuse efficiency and effectiveness. So that has taken place. All the documents, as I've said, you'll be able to find them there. Some of the challenges that have been documented over time is basically most of the BDAs having low budgetary allocation. For you in TVET, one of the easiest way to go around this, if, for example, you have negotiated your budget, you have already negotiated your PC and probably you didn't have a direct allocation. Look at the expenditure. I know you're buying a lot of equipment. Most of these equipment are in the area of science, technology, innovation. That expenditure as you report for this quarter, please capture that as part of at least 2% allocation. All the money you are spending in the area of RSTI, those trainings that you are having in the same area, all the budget that has gone, and it can be categorized in the area of research, science, technology, innovation, becomes part and parcel of at least 2%. So that makes it easier. And steady funding, inadequate infrastructure, these are some of the challenges. But what we are seeing simply becomes part of your budget. Some of activities that has really enhanced this process is formation of STI mainstreaming committees. We've seen the focal person is the chair, champions are members. Once those committees are formulated, they're established, then they can be able to make easier in terms of implementation. Capacity building, whether you are getting it from NACOST or you are doing it on your own or you're inviting NACOST when probably you are doing an online, let's say, a virtual training for your members of staff, that is very, very critical. And this depends mainstreaming of STI. And again, looking at your mandate, where STI mainstreaming is in relation to your budget, again, those are some of the activities that can easily and are developed in terms of effective implementation. Effective response, you'll always get feedback from NACOST. Use the same feedback to input to your various quarters. If, for example, get feedback for first quarter, ensure you use the same to improve your second quarter. Ensure quarterly and annual submission. Again, compliance with guidelines, both from your end, as you report and all that, capacity building, and ensuring that at the end of it all, we have what it takes to understand what is expected of us. I talked about ways, strengthening of mainstreaming steering committees is very critical as a competitive advantage for you to ensure you are able to implement what is expected. So, ladies and gentlemen, in summary, we want to, this is a presentation, a summary of 2022-2023. I've already indicated for you how the indicator was then, and this is how the participation is. I know you are tertiary. That time we had 121 in terms of participation, 273 cumulatively, and as you'll be seeing, this has always been improving. TVET were around 25% in terms of participation, and these numbers have been changing. If you look at 2023-24 again, tertiary institution, your category were 133, for example, and others, there was a lot of improvement because we recorded 318, which is good. And that tells you how the indicator has been able to evolve. This is actually the real mainstreaming. When we talk about mainstreaming, we're asking ourselves, what is the percentage participation of MDAs in relation to absorption of this indicator? So these are the numbers that speak, and you can see they are very encouraging, very, very, very encouraging. The same again, and you can see how the numbers have been changing. This is the distribution. And again, this is a real indicator in terms of absorption, in terms of effective and efficient implementation and mainstreaming of RSTI. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to come to the end of my presentation. As it was indicated earlier, kindly, you can use chat, you can use question and answer to raise any issues. And at a particular time, we'll have a plenary where most of them will be addressed. So for now, continue. If there are any issues at that particular time, we shall respond to them accordingly. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Javan, for that presentation that has set the mood for the day. Thank you for giving the background and the overview of the indicator. I think at this juncture, we are on the same page to move quickly into the next presentation. I will want to take this opportunity to share with you the overview on the work plan, because again, even from the comment I'm seeing on the chat, in terms of how we need to address it this year, we want to embed the work plan on the reporting tool, really to simplify your work, because partly all what you need to do is to tick. We have given all the options, all the activity that you need to take. So you only pick or commit what is doable, what is within your reach. So that will really help us. But for us to get clearer, let me share with you just an overview of what we want to share. Okay, great. This indicator, I will make an attempt to break down for yourselves the annual work plan guide, and for the both stream A and B. Allow me to combine the two activity. What I will do, I will before I get there, I just wanted to quickly, in a snapshot, I know we'll have a more deeper discussion around these, but from a quick perspective, having seen what Javan had just indicated for us in terms of the numbers that really are mainstreaming this, we are seeing some of the real impact, the kinds of what the data that you're sharing. This, we really want to thank each and every one of you who have been sharing their data. It's really impacting. Try to raise the Kenyan Global Innovation Index position. We were number 800 last year. This year, we have moved 4 steps forward, position 96, courtesy of the data that you are sharing. So really want to thank you for your effort in this, and you can see your collective contribution, because your inputs are really very important output on our side. We have seen the institutions that are really mainstreaming, how they've been able to strengthen the RSTI infrastructure, courtesy of this indicator, and really we think these are long-term investment that we want to celebrate the institution. So this indicator has really assisted the institution in terms of increasing the allocation for the research and development, or RSTI budget lines. Initially, some of the institutions didn't even have that budget line. We know there are austerity measures, but in spite of that, the institutions are making efforts, like your commitment being here today. So this is some of the things that we really want to feel that are already low-hanging fruits that we can celebrate your contribution for having been this indicator. The intellectual property management framework, the number of institutions that already have the intellectual property policies in place, this number is growing, and you know these institutional IP policies are critical, particularly in promoting matters commercialization, promoting creativity, and encouraging people to be more innovative. So this is again a great effort in there that we need to appreciate. This indicator is pointing for the last 3 or 4 years, 3 years or so. So this is really to celebrate your effort. Just quickly in a snapshot, so that we can see the journey that we are walking, and even what has brought us to having a conversation in the stream A and B. We have 318 ministries, departments, and agencies together who are participating in this indicator. But you could see 73% of this institution already have developed their institutional STI mainstreaming strategies. So this is very encouraging. We are working together with now the 27 who are remaining, who are now being pushed to stream A, and those who are joining. So this is a national conversation that we really feel is very encouraging, because of how our institutions are embracing this culture of integrating science, technology, and innovation into our processes. Look at the numbers of institutions that have IP policies. Out of all these, those who have been reporting, we're having about 47 of the institutions already having developed their institutional IP policy. This is a journey that we are walking, but very encouraging and very important, because again, as we speak matters commercialization of science, technology, and innovation output, IP policies are very important, so that we're able to address the number of IP assets that are across, and particularly also to really celebrate our institution in the TVETs and tertiary institution. This is again is your area of strength, and we want to appreciate some of you who are already shining examples in commercializing innovations and technologies around there. But this is an enabling a tool that we thought perhaps we want to celebrate. So those who are not yet there, we need to walk the journey together. Again, we walk at our own pace. This is just for us to just appreciate where we are headed. So for this year, what will constitute your reporting a framework, we'll continue reporting on these data sets that we have been having before. I know you are aware of this, but for those who have been there, we have one of the reporting tool that normally require the human resource capacity data. This is very important. We're going to continue with it even this financial year. This is both for stream A and B. We have a data set for infrastructure, facilities, and equipment that are domiciled in your various institutions. Again, the cap there is only equipment that are worth 500,000 and above. And you've been reporting that, those who are yet to be in this indicator. So this is what you'll be expected to report. All of it is on online. Everything is dependent on the online reporting system. The issues of R&D expenditure. This is a very important indicator for the country because we really need to see how gradually we are growing this budget, the much that we are going to spend in the matters science, technology, and innovation. It's a very important indicator for even for the country. And for your institution, it's an effort for you to at least get that info, segregate from your budget so that we are able to appreciate and celebrate sales. The issues of collaborative program, again, this is a data set that you're going to share with us, the number of programs that are implementing jointly with others. So that we are calling collaborative programs. Of course, you do have, and it depends with the numbers that you have. But if you don't, it's not a must that you should have. But going forward, this is very important. This is what we aspire to do. Then this will be the data set around the RSTI output. When you're speaking RSTI, we are speaking the whole spectrum, the research, science, technology, and innovation outputs. These are the issues of publications, the patents, the trademarks, utility models, all those books, publication chapters, and all that. So depending with the level of your institution, the nature of your institution, again, this is another data set we would expect you to share with us. Going back to a number of years that you are able to trace. Then finally we'll have the modes of dissemination. Because again, having generated all these research, science, technology outputs, if we don't have to disseminate to the extended end users, it remains as that. So again, we really need also to capture the kind of the mode of dissemination. Are they publication? Are they seminars, workshops, TVs and print media, all those, depending on the nature of your institution and your ability. So this data set will be expected for both stream A and B. For those who have been in stream B, those who have already been there before, you have already been reported this. All the data for your last year is on the system. You don't need to redo the work. You only log in and update where need be. If there are changes, perhaps in collaboration, number of collaboration, you're going to change it. The work there will be simpler once you already have inputted this data from the last financial year. So this is a very important aspect that we really want to appreciate our institution for walking this journey and really putting the face of Kenya where it belongs. So now let's quickly zero in specifically on the activities that will separate stream A and B. For those who are stream A, we said those are the new entrants. And the 27% that we are seeing, those who have yet to develop their STI strategy, we had said you a commitment this financial year you're going to develop and you're going to implement that strategy. What we have done this financial year, we have provided some guide for strategic issues that are going to help in developing the STI mainstreaming strategy for the institution. We have provided the STI priority areas that have already been approved by NACOSTI. And these are just broad areas that are very critical, that are useful for this country. But if as a country we address these priority areas based on our mandate, based on our function, from whichever corner each institution sits, these are areas that you address only what is applicable to yourselves. But if as a country we have agreed, if we deal with this, to be able to help our country make some significant progress. So we have guided, we have provided the STI priority areas. Your role will only be to now develop your strategies around there and your objectives around those STI priority areas. And for stream A, as you develop your institutional STI mainstreaming strategy, we have provided a guide. And this template has 5 chapters. For those who have already been here before, you already have interacted with the guide. The template is in there. The template is available on the website. And what you need to do is to pick that and customize to your level and to your mandate. It has 5-chapter introduction that you're telling us about your institution. You are the one who can tell the story. Situational analysis, just for you to help us analyze yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities and threats around there, so that as you are developing your mainstreaming strategy, you are really responding to your need. Because remember, we said the main objective of this STI mainstreaming strategy is to really try to deploy STI interventions in your core mandate, in your functions. So the situation analysis gives you that opportunity to analyze yourselves and look at where are the gaps and where are the weaknesses. Chapter 3, we are talking about the STI mainstreaming strategic issues that we have provided. So that one we have guided because we have given the STI priority areas. And they are on the template, or what you need to do with examples. We have even made an attempt to give all the examples of some of the activities that you can adopt that are applicable to yourself depending on the level of your institution. Chapter 4 is the implementation framework. Because again, if you develop those strategies, those objectives, you need an implementation framework that spell out how you're going to implement, how you're going to measure, how you're going to verify what you'll be able to be doing or to have committed as an institution. And chapter 5 will be monitoring and evaluation, just for you to help us know how you're going to monitor the implementation and the impact thereof. So that template is on the website with all the necessary guide and examples. But as I indicated, the responsibility of NACOSTI to work with you, always reach out for assistance around that area that sometimes seem technical. So this is the layout of what we want you to develop. Just an example, so that quickly I will not go into deep into these, but I've just used these few examples. But what my point here is just to share the strategic issues, what we are calling the strategic issue, the second column. Then this is what NACOSTI has provided the country. This is what we have agreed as a country, they are important area for us to focus on. One is the issues of STI in education, communication, and the talent development, next generation workforce that deal with all the issues of around the workforce. This is a human resource aspect. For those who are already in the stream B, if you have your strategy, you realize that was the issue of human resource. So what we are putting to yourselves is, what would you wish to address around the issues of human resource capacity development? The last column, we have provided for you to provide the strategies that you're going to pick. In the work plan that you're going to find in the reporting tool, you'll be expected to select at least 3 activities that you do in all this strategic issue. In each strategic issue, you pick at least 3 activities that you're going to implement. But these are just examples. Again, they may not be applicable to yourselves. If it is considering the issues of increasing the personnel is a certain percentage, we will not dictate what you're going to do, but we only guide. The second issue is issue of R&D strengthening, R&D priorities, R&D financing, and infrastructure. Again, a very broad area that revolves around the financing of research and development and infrastructure. As a country, we have agreed this is very important. As an institution, you're already aware this is very important. And as we walk with this journey, even in the face of the austerity measures, so what will be your strategies around there? probably you wish to have resource mobilization mechanism to address that dwindling financial resources. So, what is key and what is uniform is the strategic issues. The objectives and the strategies that you are going to craft yourselves will depend on your mandate, your resources, and the level of institution. Strategic issue number 3 is issues of inclusivity, diversity, and the issues of governance. So what would you wish to do around that? So you craft your objectives, and finally you craft your strategies. You'll be expected at least to pick 3 strategies, 3 activities that you do to address that issues of inclusivity and diversity and all that. The issue number 4 is what has to do with technology development. Again, this is at the core of particularly our tertiary institution. Technology development, protection, diffusion, and commercialization. This is another strategic issue that we expect you to pick your objectives around there and pick your strategies that you wish to address to promote the issue of technology development and protection and so. We have provided a number of examples there just to guide what you wish to pick as your strategies to address the technology development. And a quick example would be the development of IP policies. We have seen the journey, what the MDAs are working around developing the policies to really try to promote matters commercialization of technologies, because that is a huge gap for our innovation system. How are we able to take good and commercialize and put to public and use for all these new research outputs? And the issue number 5, the strategic issue number 5 would be the issue of multi-agency, multi-sectoral, multi-institutional, but the thing is cooperation and partnership in RSTI. That is multi-agency or multi-sectoral in approach, because there is strength in numbers, and then you seek out the partners who add value to your processes. I know you've already been in there in the partnership, but we are providing an opportunity for your institute to strengthen this area. And again, we will not dictate, but we only give you examples, some of the examples that you can pick to address that issue. And your objectives, again, it will depend on your levels of commitment and what you wish to address. So the main thing is those are the 5 strategic issues that we are putting forward, but we still have other strategic issues that are STI priority areas, which are provided in the work plan for you to choose if they will be applicable to yourselves. So that one will not limit you to the 5, but will allow institutions to select others that are applicable to yourself, that will really help strengthen your institution and at large promote the RSTI sector in this country. So ladies and gentlemen, for Stream A, this will be the layout that we should guide in developing your STI mainstreaming strategy. And as you can see, it's very broad areas that will be able to fit in. And indicated chapter 4 of the template is about the implementation matrix. And just even as you have in your strategic plans, you always have this matrix that help in mapping out how you're going to implement, how you're going to measure. So against all the strategic issues, you will have crafted your strategies that you wish to commit your institution to undertake, whether in the next 3 years or the next 5 years. Then we are giving you an opportunity to measure, in fact, to give what will be the expected results once you are able to address that. What will be your performance indicator if you want to assess yourself, how successful you are. Then the means of verification, where would you verify? Remember, when you're doing monitoring and evaluation, these are the framework that you use, and then the estimated cost. I know the issue of estimated cost for implementation of STI mainstreaming strategy is an issue, but this document is a sub-strategy, supposed to be informed by your strategy plan. But this has only direct bias to science, technology, and innovation. So again, you're projecting resources that are already committed in your strategy plan. And that's why you're saying those activities have to speak to your mandate, have to speak to your family. So this will be the layout for the implementation matrix. Again, as I said, always our doors are open. Reach out to Costi for assistance in articulating these. So let me now address the requirement for Stream B. And the Stream B, these are the veterans who have been in this indicator for the last 4 years or the last 2-3 years or so. So Stream B, you will be expected first is to address the issues of collaboration and partnerships. This partnership specifically in science, technology, and innovation and research. The other aspect is technology development, innovations, protection or acquisition of IP, commercialization, and the transfer of the technology. I know this is a very big issue and a very important. What we have done, allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to spend the next few slides breaking it down into specific activities that would assist. So, for example, Stream B, you are expected to address the issues of collaboration and partnership. So that to make our work simpler, what we are providing the guide is that we want the institution to address the issues of initiating and implementing multiple helix collaborations. Multiple helix collaboration is what we mean that the kind of the collaboration that we are having in place must have all the major and relevant stakeholders. This is the academia, perhaps most of you where you are, the industry or private sector, government, civil society, and the communities. That multiple helix, meaning all those 5 major components. So we have committed the institution to address this, but we have also provided a number of activities that should guide. So you will be expected to address all these 6 issues. In the work plan that is on the tool, there are breakdown of a number of activities that you do under this. For example, one is the stakeholder analysis. Because for you, the first thing is you need to scan as you map around who are the potential RSTI sector relevant stakeholders. So that would be one activity that you will address at your level, what you are able to do, with a set of activities that you pick. The second item is that you are expected to organize workshop or forum or sittings with all these players that are in multiple helix collaboration. And I've indicated your collaboration or your activities or your forum must include those. We are also putting for you that you continue facilitating the development and implementation of continuous, because you may have collaboration that are already existing. So what is expected in this case is to how you're going to continue sustaining those collaborations. We also be expected to assist in assessing, because once you bring all these 5 or so players in the collaboration, help us, or part of your activity will be to assess the levels of the input and output, probably in terms of the resources. For one example about the resources, if you have all these, how much are you able to mobilize from all these players in this sector? You will also be expected to assess in terms of the input and the output, but in this case, in terms of RSTI output, because the first one is in terms of resources, the other one now is in terms of the output, which could include even the number of patent applications, number of trademarks application, all those IP assets, in terms of application, in terms of those granted, because This collaboration are supposed to enhance these issues. That's why it will be your role, your task to look at them. Then the number of other publications and the like. So that this collaboration are meaningful in terms of the resources, in terms of the RCI output. And then finally, a report on the collaboration that you're going to undertake. So this is for stream B. This is what would entail your part on promoting collaboration and partnership. So the value addition here is that we want them to be on third principal helix nature, so that we are able to take forward what we have been doing previously. Secondly, stream B, you'll be expected to develop technologies, innovations, commercialize, technology transfer, technology protection, and all those. So what we've done, we have provided an array of options. So we have 5 options for our institution to select from. Why? Because this is a very broad aspect, and depending on the nature of our institution, different institutions will be able to address it differently. For example, the option number 1 for those, maybe those who are well suited, but because of course, particularly the TVET institution, you may be able to find yourself in there if you are able, because this will be addressing the research and innovation cycle. These are institutions that are able to carry out research, that are able to acquire or develop research outputs, that you'll be able to perhaps be able to acquire intellectual property protection, that you are able to push your products into the market, that you are able to put those IP licensing, because again, that's a gap, because some of the institutions are able to protect their products, but they are not able to commercialize them. There are issues of licensing of IP rights, commercialization, all that. That is option 1. So if you opt option 1, those are the wide range of the institution. A number of the TVET institutions are doing so well in there, particularly in developing products, commercializing, acquiring IP rights. Perhaps their weaknesses will be how they need to market. So it's a whole cycle, because it's from the research to the market. That's what we are calling research and innovation cycle. All those activities are in there. The second option will be the acquisition and deployment of modern technology. Maybe most of the institutions will fall in here, because I don't think there will be any institution that is not deploying the modern technologies in dispensation of their duties, in execution of their mandate. So we are giving an option that if you opt number 2, we have a number of activities that will guide you. What you need to do? But that means you may not develop, but you can acquire technologies from elsewhere. Option number 3 will be perhaps for institutions that are on financial base, funding institutions, because they may not be able to develop technologies themselves, but they can support other institutions to undertake those activities. That will be a good example for funding agencies. Option number 4, this would be for regulators. They may not be able to develop, they may not be able to market, they may not be able to protect innovations, but they can regulate the agencies that are under themselves in terms of assisting them to undertake these functions. And finally, we have option 5, and this will entail the institutions that are able to oversee the implementation. And this perhaps is the State Department and the ministries, because their role is more of coordination and supervision, so that they are able to supervise the institution downstream to undertake that. So the value addition in this, you only pick one option, then in the work plan, we have given you an array of activities that are under each, that will really guide you so that you can even see your strength, and your capacity to undertake each, but you are free to select any. So for technology transfer, we have done this so that we are able to accommodate all the institutions, we know they are at different levels, different capacities, so that you all fit in and with the spirit of embracing STI mainstreaming, so that nobody is left behind. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me end it there, because you will have an opportunity to interact with our online tool that has all these major issues and the sub activities. So thank you so much. I would wish to end there, and with your indulgence, we could take a 10 minutes health break, or 15. Good. We could take 15 minutes health break. Lester, maybe in the interest of time, now is 40 minutes past 10. Let's be back in 10 minutes time, 10 minutes to 11, so that we can quickly now take advantage of having a feel of the online implementation platform that will even make this work simpler than what we have tried to make. So thank you. Let's see you in 10 minutes time. Okay. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome for the second last session for our presentation. Let me take this opportunity to invite my colleague, Dennis Yegon, to assist us in the online reporting tool. And this is really the bargain for this exercise, make it simpler and effective. Yegon, please.
Thank you, Director. I don't know whether you can hear me. But, so allow me to take you to the reporting portal. We have automated the process based on your need and also to enhance the service delivery. On top of that, issues of efficiency in reporting has also been improved. Issues of errors, it has quietly reduced. And the quality of the data which we have received from you has also been good. So basically, some of the key areas which I will highlight during these presentations, I will share the reporting link. Also, the aspect of accessing the MDA user ID, where quite a number of you have been having a challenge. Also on how to go through the guidelines, which we have provided as NACOSTI on implementation of this STI mainstreaming. Online support, at least we have had a few or a few of you who have been using that feature. We'll also go through that. How to log in. Those are just basic things, which I'm sure each and every focal persons know how to access the login in. Then we go through the population of the profile. That's the MDA profile. Then lastly, the work plan. We had promised MDA as part of enhancing this system, we will embed the work plan in the system. So we will also go through that. Then the aspect of now filling the quarterly reports, we'll also go through that. And lastly, viewing the reports, either the feedback letters and how you have fared during the financial year or the quarter. So allow me to share my screen. We proceed, or we start the reporting process. I hope you can now view my screen. So basically, on how to proceed, go to www.nacosti.go.ke. That's the NACOSTI website. From there, at the menu, we have about 7 menus. At last, we have what we call the PCMDS. Once you click that link, it will take you to the reporting portal. But on top of that, if you go below the banner, the one which is highlighted on red, it will also take you to the same link. So allow me to click that link. Once the reporting portal has loaded, there are some things you can access quickly, and we urge the MDS to go through the guidelines before beginning the process of reporting, basically to know what is required of them. So just below the banner, we have indicated the guidelines. These include the rationale of this STI mainstreaming indicator, the eligibility, who are eligible. Like for your case, this category today, we are handling the TVETs. So you are all eligible to this STI mainstreaming. The key activities, basically this financial year, we have 2 streams. Stream A, that's applicable to new entrants or MDS without institutional STI strategy. And they are required to develop the STI strategy, which is 30 marks. Then secondly, to implement now the strategic issues within their STI strategy. Secondly, or stream B, this is applicable to MDS with approved STI strategy. For this, we expect those institutions to implement on collaboration and partnership in RSTI matters, and also to implement on technologies and innovations, which is 70 marks. There is also the enabling environment. Kindly go through that, like the aspect of the focal persons and responsibilities. If you read along that line, there is the part which is highlighted green. You can easily access what is expected or what is required for the focal persons and champions to implement. So you can access those documentations or guides as you read along these guidelines. Also, if you want to access the guide on developing the work plan for Stream A, it's also provided there as highlighted, and Stream B is also provided. These are a guide of a detail on how to prepare the work plan. Aspect of reporting, we also expect institutions to report within 15 days after the end of the quarter, which for this case is on 15 October for the first quarter. And basically the scores for the last financial year. Going back to the menu, we have a menu on institutions. Basically here, it provides a list of institutions who are expected to implement the STI mainstreaming. So to get the MDA user ID, we have also placed here. So for the case of TVETs, we have a category of the TVETs. Just click there, and once that page loads, there is a whole list of all institutions who are expected to implement the indicator. So the second row as now the MDA ID. So we expect you to get your respective MDA ID, and this will be now required to use for the logging in. We also have a feature here. If you require any technical support, you are kindly required to click here and fill in the necessary request, then submit to us. Now to begin now accessing your accounts, at the top of the portal, we have what we call the logging in. Kindly click there. Once you click there, it will ask you to enter the user ID, and this is basically the MDA user ID, which I've just taken you through. So for my case, yeah, I will use this one. This is the MDA ID assigned for Nacoste and purposely for the tutorial. So allow me to log in. For the password, we normally share the password to the institutional email address which you have provided to us, and also copy to the focal person. So once you log into the system, the first redirect is to the MDA profile, and here we require some basic details of your institution, like the email. And allow me to emphasize here, this email is so important because any communication which we send via the system, it will send to that email. So kindly be careful when entering the email. Ensure that you enter a working email so that you don't miss on the communications which we normally share quarterly. Also, you are required to indicate the county which you are located. If you have branches, kindly indicate the HQ of that institution. We also require you to give the title of the head of the institution, and also here, also try to be careful to input the correct title. Same to the name of the institution. So once you fill in the institutional details, there is the aspect of the coordination and capacity building. We also ask you to give us the status on this aspect of the STI focal person and champions. Tell us whether you have appointed. If you have appointed, kindly provide the details. That's the first name, second name, and the mobile number and the email. Also be careful when entering the email of the focal person, because all the communications which we normally share to the institutional, we also copy to the email for the focal person. Here again, we require you to attach the appointment letter, and also for the champions. Indicate also whether you have appointed, if yes or no. If you have appointed, kindly attach the evidence or the appointment letter on that matter. The second place which I want to highlight is on RSI guiding documents. Basically, these are the research policy and the IP policy. So also kindly indicate whether you have these two documents. If you have, also attach and proceed. So for this profile, you realize that you only fill in once. Like we saw that previously we have been asking you to provide the appointment letter for the STI champions on every quarter. So with this MDA profile now, you only fill once. Once you just fill in, we don't require you to provide in the subsequent quarter. But for the event that for the case of the STI champion and focal persons, the committee has been reconstituted. What you only require is you attach that the latest letter to that effect. So allow me to just before I proceed, we have introduced now where it will determine whether you are stream A or stream B, just at the end of this profile. So select appropriately. I mentioned earlier, stream A are for the new entrants or MBA without the STI strategy. So once you select stream A, it will take you now to populate the work plan for stream A. If you select stream B, it will take you to populate the work plan for stream B. So kindly be careful when selecting this section because it will reroute you based on what you choose or where you belong in this aspect of stream A or stream B. So just for the purpose of training, let me pick any, then update. The next step it takes us now is now the process of submitting reports. And I'm sure you have been interacting with this section where you have been reporting quarterly, like we had the financial year 2023, the first quarter, the second quarter, third, and the fourth quarter. And once you report, it will indicate that you have already submitted. For those who haven't reported, it will indicate submit reports, and the color for that is green. Once you submit, the color changes to orange. So for this particular quarter and financial year, it will appear at the bottom. So click submit reports. And once you click to that link, it will load the work plan. And also kindly take note that work plan can only be accessed when reporting for quarter one. When you are reporting for quarter 2, 3, and 4, you won't be able to access work plan if you never reported during that first quarter. So for the work plan, we have 2 sections. Section 1 is where it is applicable for both stream A and B. The other section now is where it will reroute you based on what you choose, whether it's either stream A or stream B. So for this work plan, we have structured, there is an activity. You also specify that specific activity and the time frame, also the budget allocation, and also indicate the responsibility. Like for this case, for the purpose of just training, the aspect of appointing or reappointing the focal person, for this one, I can choose this will be implemented during quarter 1. So once you tick, it will save what I've just ticked, and budget allocation, I could indicate 0 since just appointing either the STI champion or focal person doesn't have any budget implication. So responsibility here, I could indicate CEO. And once I just click there, it will automatically now say what I've entered. Now for the purpose of training, allow me just to pick a few. But just to highlight, here we have about 4 or 5 areas which you are required to fill. One is the appointment and the appointment of the focal persons and champions, the aspect of training of focal person, champions, or any other staff member within your institution. Aspect of now sensitizing staff and STI stakeholders. We also require you to train. Once we train the champions and the focal persons, we also require you to cascade that training to your staff. The other aspect is on providing details and submitting evidence requested on RSTI. So for this section, you have been populating about 7 tables. So here we require you to commit yourself that you'll be reporting all those tables. That's table A to table G. So for this one, we require you to fill all the quotas because you will be reporting or you will be sharing towards that data quarterly basis. So just for the purpose of training, allow me to just pick one. Then, and the aspect of now committing that you will be reporting within the set timelines. So allow me to go to the second section. If you recall, I chose that I belong to stream B, and for the stream B, we are required to implement 2 activities. One is collaboration and partnership, and the other one was on technologies and innovations, blah, blah, blah. So for this, for the first indicator, we require you to implement all what is provided. That is from number 1 to number 6. Now it's you now to indicate to us on which, based on the time frame, whether you will implement either in quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, or quarter 4. On that same spirit, also indicate the budget allocation to each activity, and also the person who will be responsible in implementing that activity. So for the purpose of training, allow me just to pick one, the first one. Then on technologies, here we have categorized into option. My earlier colleague had actually taken you through this aspect of options. We have the ones on option 1, option 2. Option 2 are basically for those who are doing the acquisition and deployment of modern technologies relevant to the national security, public safety, inclusive sustainable development. For those who will do option 4 is basically those who are doing the regulatory aspects. For those who will be doing option 5, more so the ministries, just to oversee and ensure implementation of the STI mainstreaming within their respective agencies. Then option 1 are those who are in now real research, and one of they're required to undertake the activities in this standard research innovation cycle. You will get this guide proper detailed in the template which we have provided you on what it means by this research innovation cycle. So if you choose the option which you feel you will be comfortable with to implement during the financial year, kindly pick all the specific activities based on that option. So for this purpose of training, allow me just to pick one, which I will implement during the first quarter. So once you pick once now you populate your work plan and submit, it will now take you to step 1. Basically, if you are keen, it has only loaded what I committed to implement during quarter 1. So work plan is it's submitted only once. Subsequently, when you report for the second quarter, it will only load what you committed to implement during that quarter. So be careful when selecting the timelines. Ensure that you select if you are sure you will achieve within that quarter, because when reporting, it will only load what you committed that you will implement during that quarter. Okay. So for this case, I said during quarter 1, I will appoint the focal person. So indicate the achievements. Let's say the focal person and champions were appointed or reappointed, or then attach the respective evidence. If you recall, for the aspect of now where it's applicable to MDS, again, if you recall, I selected stream B, and I only picked 2 activities to implement during this first quarter. So the same, indicate the achievements which you did for that quarter, and attach the supporting documents on the same. So basically, this is what it takes when it comes to work plan. And I hope we have tried to simplify to make it easy for you to fill it. So it's just about time frame, indicating the budget, personal responsibility. Then now when reporting, just indicate the achievements and attach the respective evidences. So going forward, allow me to save. It will take me to step 2. And I'm sure now this is becoming familiar with you for those who have been reporting on this indicator. Step 2 basically is on staff establishment. And it in this section, it has 2 sections. The first section is we request you to indicate the approved staff establishment. This is the maximum number of staff you can employ in your institution. Like for our case here is 98. And at the moment, we have just as an example, let's say 54 staff who are in post. We also require you to indicate the total number of in-post who are offering technical here. For the just tutorial purpose, allow me to indicate 16. Then the total number of in-post who are non-Kenyans, for the purpose of tutorial, I've just indicated 9. For the total number of in-post staff who are non-Kenyans and offering technical services, I've just indicated 0. So once you populate that, then now you are required to interact with table 1 on in-post. Here, we capture details based on the title, number as per establishment, current in-post. So to add the detail on that, just click add. For this one, we have realized institutions are giving us the specific title for each staff within the institutions. As for this part, we only require the general cadre, like the CEO, directors, managers, principals, officers, and the likes. On that same note, indicate the number as per establishment. If for the case, let me pick for the CEO, as per the establishment, definitely this is just 1. If for the in-post, it will be 1. For the directors, you find in other places they have directors. The establishment allows probably 3 directors, and probably those who are in-post are 2. So that's how you fill this section. Once you populate that data, save, then proceed next to then step 3. Step 3 is on human resource data. For this, we ask you to provide the current number based on qualifications. It based on actually 5 broad specialties, qualifications, gender, and age, either less than 50 or above 50 years. So to add the data on that, there is an add button here. Click on it, select the respective field of study. Let's say we have engineering. In that engineering, you can start with either PhD level. I select the gender, either male. In that category, we have 4 who are less than 50 years, then 7 who are above 50 years or equal. Once you populate the data, save. And continue the same process in adding for the other categories. So once you populate the data, click save and proceed. But allow me to mention something before I proceed. We have also provided the data collection tool. These are just Excel tables. We realize that for this case, we're handling on human resource data. These Excel sheets can be sent to the relevant department to assist in populating that data, then share to the focal person for the purpose of now filling on the system. So allow me to proceed to the next step. That's on RSTI equipment. For this, we ask you to provide the current active equipment, and that's amounts to over 500,000. That's 0.5 million. So you use table 3 to populate that. For this, we capture the name of equipment, the date which it was installed, the location, the cost of that equipment. And remember, we have asked equipment which amounts to over 0.5 million. So any equipment less than that, please don't report to us. Also indicate the use and capability of that equipment, and also indicate whether it's in good working condition or not. So to add the data on that, there's this add button. Just click add. As I've taken you through, indicate that name, the date which it was installed, the location, the cost of the equipment, the use of that equipment, and if the equipment is in working condition. Once you populate the data, save and proceed. Then it will take you to the next step, which is now on the RSTI expenditure. This one, we only take the data for that particular year and to add the data on it. But just before I show you that page, we require you to indicate the funding source, the name of the partner, the total development budget for that particular year. You see if it has indicated for this financial year, that's the 2024-2025. On the same note, tell us the annual recurrent budgets for that particular year, the budget which is allocated for R&D for that particular year, and now the actual quarter expenditure on R&D for that particular year. This means the budget which you spend on R&D between July and October, November. So to add the data on that, use the add button, select the funding source. It will be the development partner. Indicate that partner name, either World Bank and the rest. Select and enter the detail on that development budget for that particular year, the annual recurrent budget, annual R&D budget allocated for that particular financial year, and now the amount which you spend on R&D for that particular quarter. If you have any remarks, kindly indicate on this part, then save and proceed. So once you save and proceed, it will take us to step 6. That's on RSTI programs. For this one, we require you to list all the RSTI programs or projects being undertaken in your institutions within the last 10 years, involving partnership with RSTI institutions, universities, TVETs, private sectors, local communities, civil societies, development partners, and the likes. So to add the data on partnerships, there is an add button similar to the others. The first requirement is to type the title of that program or project. Indicate the other section. Now you are required to indicate the PI, that's the principal investigator on that. Indicate the start date of that project. The second step is you select the end date. Also tell us the percentage of completion, whether 60, if it's complete, indicate 100%. If there is a source of funding in GOK, indicate that amount in Kenya shillings. Whether you are utilizing some amount from AINA, can you also indicate that amount? Whether there is amount from the development partners to support that project, indicate the amount here. And also whether there is an amount from the private sector to support that project. If there is now, you have someone from the development partner supporting it, we also require you to indicate the name of that partner. Then also tell us whether it's from private or private sector. That's public or private sector. Once you populate the data on this, save and continue. The next step it will take us is on step 7. That's on the RSTI outputs. For this, we ask you to provide the data within the last 20 years. So for that case, you are required to select the type of the RSTI outputs, tell us the numbers, assign to the respective study, and give remarks. So to add the data, just click on the add button, select that type of output. It could be either the patterns, publications. For the purpose of training, I'll just need to select that aspect on peer review journals, tier 1. And let's say in that particular quarter, we had 10. And it was on the field of, let's say, engineering and technology. If you have any remarks, indicate. So here we just capture in numbers. Once you populate, then save and proceed. So the second last step is now on dissemination. Purposely, of course, once you have the outputs, we expect institutions to be disseminating what they have in terms of the outputs. That's the RSTI outputs. And here you tell us the mode of dissemination which you have done through it and the detail of that activity. And also we capture in terms of numbers. So to add the data, just click on add button, select the mode of dissemination which you use. Some uses conferences, exhibitions, expert dialogues, expo and trade fairs, policy briefs, print media, radio, seminars, social media, symposiums, training, even through website and workshop. So once you select the mode of training, tell us the detail of that activity which you are disseminating, then specify the numbers within that quarter. If you have any remark, then also tell us, then save and proceed. Once you have done with that, click save, then go to the last step. So allow me to inform you that you can review what you have provided. If you click on this link, you can quickly access what you have populated for that particular quarter. You can print this and also share with the accounting officer as because normally some of the head of the institutions require to see what they have actually prepared for that quarter. So you can print that report, share with the DG before him or her commits in signing that forwarding letter. At least he knows the data which you have provided to us. So once you have attached the forwarding letter, you now submit your reports. So once you submit the reports, you can access all the reports which you have submitted on these my submissions. In that, it will indicate the financial year, the quarter, the reference number. So once you submit your data, it will assign a reference number, the date which you submitted, the report of what you submitted, and also the feedback. These are actually the feedback which we normally share 15 days after you have submitted your data. So that's all for now. I mentioned this need help feature. It's pretty simple. Just enter your name, email, the subject of that matter, and probably a brief of what you require us to assist you. Once you populate the data, then click submit. So once you submit, your request will be sent to our technical team, and our technical team will be able to assist you. And our turnaround time is normally within 1 hour, since we have quite a number of technical team accessing that feature. So allow me to end my presentations there. Back to Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dennis, for having taken us through the reporting platform. Really to make our work simpler and more efficient. I think we're progressing well, distinguished participants. I think at this point, we will have the Director General NACOSTI, Professor Walter Oyawa, who is present now to share with us the current trends in the RSTI sector. And I think this presentation will help us crown all what we've been discussing at a part of the day. We would seek your indulgence. I think we combine all this, the open forum session or the plenary to be at the end of this presentation. We really are appreciating the comment, the suggestion that you are putting across, and even more so to emphasize your desire to have some of your technical institution actually brought on board on this indicator. This is a clear demonstration that we are working to keep the same language. We are also seeing how you are appreciating the indicator and how it has been. And as we are indicating, the committee, the team here is on standby to address your issue, your comment. We are taking your comment, your suggestion on board. And this is the letter and the spirit of having these conversations, so that we're able to make it as simpler. Just in a moment, we will be able to have a DG on board. In the meantime, I'm appreciating your comment and your suggestions as we go along, and more so your willingness to learn and to participate in this is highly commendable. Yeah, and I think some of your comments as we transit to the other presentation, I would want to pick some of your comments and see what we are able to respond to. Yes, I can see, like Jacqueline, you have an issue with the submitted data. Yes, in the subsequent quarter, you will have an opportunity to validate and correct your data. And in fact, what we're even indicating is that this platform is giving you an opportunity to help us validate the data that you had provided. Because once you log in, you'll find all your data that you submitted to us in Q4 last financial year. And it will be an opportunity for you to really help us validate and correct that. So the straight answer is the system is versatile enough to have you have an opportunity to correct and even to adjust what would be not accurate. Because as I was indicating, the accuracy is very important. So ladies and gentlemen, I can see now Professor Walter Oyawa is ready to take us through. And I really want to really thank you, all of you, for having stayed this long. So Professor, give you the opportunity to take the floor.
Yes, I hope I'm audible now. I'm audible. Yes, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for sparing your time once more. I think somebody needs to switch off the system. I'm hearing echo. Yes, but thank you very much for sparing your time to be with us. I think once more, yeah, it's okay now. Today, and sparing your time on this very important PC indicator, which is direct bearing to our country. I just thought, as we usually do in this training, just to give you a bird's eye overview, that this is not just a typical target, but it's a target where you can contribute directly to matters of national development, to matters of national security, to matters of public safety. And therefore, my presentation, maybe the next 30 or so minutes, will focus more on restating the value proposition of this performance target, restating the value of this target, and also bringing you up to speed to some of the latest happenings in what you're calling the research, science, technology, and innovation sector. And I just want to emphasize that there are a lot of words around coming up. You could hear science sector, you could hear science and technology sector, you could hear research sector. They all mean the same, but the latest is all-inclusive, where we talk of RSTI. And from the onset, as captured on the first slide, we want to talk about the impact, because that is the focus of the PC unit, that the directive that we were given as coordinators of this task, that we need to move away from the processes and we go to the impact on the people of Kenya, the impact on Wanjiku, the impact on Boda, the impact on each one of us, rather than focusing on the processes where we can score 100% and yet the people on the ground do not feel us. So in a nutshell, number one, we want to re-emphasize that matters of STI is really a game changer globally. It's been accepted. And we are pleased to inform that none other than our president was in the UN discussing on a topic, on a theme on STI as a game changer. And that tells you at the very highest level of government that the government of Kenya is leading on matters of STI through your support. Then nationally, and again, the second bullet, this was pronounced by none other than His Excellency the President, that the government of Kenya is betting on STI in deepening trust and strengthening public confidence in government. So where would you be as an institution, or what is your contribution as an institution, quantifiable contribution, that we as institution X, we have done this? It might be small, it might be big, it might be whichever, but at least you have a contribution to our common enterprise, which is Kenya. We also want to bring in another very important aspect, which go hand in hand, which has not been there. This target brings in the element that you cannot really progress in matters of economic development if you do not tie it up with the issues of national security and public safety. This become paramount, and countries that have gone ahead, you hear a lot of wars in the Middle East and so forth. National security, public safety takes precedence, and when you have that security and public safety, then you're able to have a climate which allows for economic development. And then I just want to emphasize on the call, I say that has come from the ministry in charge of performance contract, that let us discuss less on processes, because we can achieve processes 100%, but the impact. So how does NACOSTI measure its impact on Kenyan citizenry, so that if you are to go and face a crowd of people, they will say that you have done badly or done done poorly. That is very important, and it determines allocation. The matter which has been there, this is a slide I've shared before, and sorry for those who have seen it very many times, is that we have so many resources, but we're not using it. This is Africa, the same with Kenya, so I'll just very quickly move on that. But the interesting part, when the dollar was very erratic, moving to 130, 140, 150, I think eventually got 160, and we're all wondering, how do we stabilize the dollar? This is the data that is there, which you can Google. I'll just pick the one for 2021, where we are importing products 3 times what we're exporting. And if you look at what we're importing, are really things to do with technology. Yes, you see, Kenya's main imports are machinery, that is STI, transport equipment, that is STI, petroleum, that is STI, iron, that is STI, steel, resins and plastic, that is STI. And it's not that we cannot produce plastics or resins in this country. So that will only happen if the mainstream government, those of us in the ministries, the state departments, the SAGAs, the TVET institutions, which are gathered here today, you make a contribution in the form of either training people, the personnel who are out there, or in terms of research and development. So that is actually the real data. Data never lies. We are importing 3 times as we are exporting. So even when the dollar is stabilized now, it is probably stabilized because of some foreign inputs of foreign economy, because we are not doing as much as we could do. That is the purpose of this STI mainstreaming target. And the data is there. We talk of one of the simplest things, and we're going to discuss a lot today about patents and about Global Innovation Index today, is you can see in the country now, this is the data we got from the Institute, Kenya Institute of Kenya Industrial Property Intellectual Institute, KIPI. that we have about 150 patents by Kenyans over the last 20 years. Over the last 20 years. So I'm very pleased actually to inform that the reports that we're getting, TVET institutions are excelling, and we want you to excel. Yeah, I want to inform you that one of the best excelling, Sigalagala TTC or TTI, we even invited them to be part of us in the just concluded Nairobi show. And if you check on some news, I think we won some awards because of engaging with TVET institutions. So we would really be pleased if we can have more of you. And we just picked Sigalagala because our data shows that they have the highest number of patents. And our engagement, and this is to inspire you, we would want them to be the champions to go around the 8 regions of the country, just to teach professors, researchers on how to get that, what they're calling the inventive step. It's easier for us in academia to publish, but it's very difficult for us to get that inventive step that qualifies a product for a patent. And the difference is that a patent, when you have a patent, that's the only time you have a confirmation that you actually own the knowledge. And the patent allows you to use that knowledge for 20 years. What is happening now is that people have a lot of knowledge, but since they don't own it, they own it for 1 year, they shine in the Nairobi show, or in the show, they get exhibitions, they go to awards, and we have youngsters doing that. They win those awards. The following year, somebody has already taken that thing, and it is being formed into a very big company through which products are coming from outside and coming to the country. So these are very, very important critical issues. It's not just like a matter of economic development, but it's about the economy, who is enhancing our economy and who is sabotaging our economy. I mean, emphasize on that. But very quickly, again, probably this slide, some of you have been there, have seen it before, where His Excellency was sharing a theme on STI as a game changer. And that just shows that right at the top of the country, and this at the UN level, where Kenya was selected, and none other than His Excellency the President was at the helm to talk about game changers. There were several game changers we did pick. One of them was applying science, technology, innovation, and data for transformative action. His Excellency also has reiterated the importance of STI, and that is why we are here, and that's why we would want you to really take this target, not just as normal target. And I've shared this slide again. I think in June 2023, he made some powerful statements, but I'm just picking one. That second bullet, to this end, President Ruto said he is betting on the use of technology in deepening trust and strengthening public confidence in government. Just imagine how technology has been elevated or escalated in this country. So that when you're talking of deepening trust or strengthening public confidence, it is to be done through technology. And that's why literally every agency, there's some TVET institutions even wondering and saying we don't do research, blah, blah. We're saying, no, it's not about research only. It's about research, science, technology, and innovation. And you can see the Kenya government is betting on it. And the next question will be, what is your contribution? As regulatory authorities, NACOSTI and other regulatory authorities, already the head of public service, I think has a lot of expectations on us, is asking us to give quarterly reports on how we are discharging our functions, the regulatory functions. And this is for all the regulatory authorities that are out there in the country. So we really hope that you can work with us on this. Another angle which is very important, that when you want to secure the knowledge that you have as a country, it has to be taken from the paradigm of the security angle. And then this is just where, again, quoting His Excellency the President in one of the graduations that he went at our only National Defense University, that there's no better foundation on which to establish our defense and security policy and done research and innovation. So everything goes through research, science, technology, and innovation. Another familiar slide, how does STI mainstreaming come? It's not a creation of NACOSTI or of the Ministry of Education or of the Ministry of Public Service. It is actually there in the Science Technology Act, which the very first sentence, if you can Google and download it now, says that one of the purposes of the act was to entrench science, technology, innovation into the national production system. That is actually a statement that STI mainstreaming is in the Act of Parliament as determined by Wanjiku, who made that act. And our work is simply to connect. The value proposition I've shared with you several times, but one is anchors Kenya as a top-notch innovation and technology hub. And there's a lot of competition of that now globally, which is a hub. Why do you want to anchor yourself as a global technology hub? You attract business. When you attract business, you create employment. You create a conducive environment. You create a scenario where the dollar can stabilize. So this is how this STI mainstreaming target is. The data you give us, yes, it's not just there for keeping and locking. And we'll show you in a while that the data you gave us has really helped to move Kenya's Global Innovation Index this year to some steps upward. And we're still looking for more from you, especially the patenting data. Then we hope value proposition impacts a culture of creativity, ensures whole government approach, which is mandatory. In fact, we believe that you as a single TVET institution cannot achieve what you are achieving alone. So we ask you which other institutions, and particularly which other institution beyond the TVET, because when TVET institutions meet, you do very well. But do you think you'll achieve your mandate only as TVET institutions? Yes, aren't you going to research with mainstream government or undertake some products with mainstream ministries, or even our mainstream ministry, the Ministry of Education, and so forth and so forth? So I will not read all the slides, but I just wanted to say, as part of, I think, requests from you, our stakeholders, yeah, we have said we have launched the 8 modules. That question was coming yesterday when we were dealing with another group of our stakeholders. We have done the first one recently, I think 2 or 3 months ago in Avasha, and it was really exciting. The STI mainstreaming in MDS. We got a call yesterday that we repeat this course because we involved different players. We involved retired vice chancellors and CEOs. We involved our own staff. We involved the national intelligence to give a very important angle on technology protection. Like the technology that you have, you don't protect it, then you're giving it to foreigners who will again come to compete with us in business. So it has national intelligence. We are hoping to have another one very quickly in November. In fact, number 1 and number 3, where we are getting the demand, and I think we have written out. So please express your interest on this. We will do it as a whole of government approach. I've just got an interest expressed by the National Treasury that they want to join us in some of these trainings, which are really multi-sectoral. NACOST's role is really to facilitate. Yes, we are being asked yesterday another question which some of you will ask: how do we appreciate the focal points and even the STA champions, particularly the focal points? One of the easiest routes is to fast track you through these 8 modules, because they are all 1 week, one week, so that you have that certificate. And when you have a certificate, then you become a special person that when you're engaging in different sectors, different stakeholders, then we're able to invite you as a resource person. But I think our team was also saying, I think there needs to be a special certificate for focal persons, and you can discuss on that. Yeah, coming back to the matter at hand, I think the direction given to us this year is that we move away from processes. Yeah, you have other situations where people score 100% in PC, but you look at what is the impact, it's like, oh, it's 0. We don't know. Does it even exist? But they're number one ranked in the PC. So I think the direction we're given was that we are moving away from process to impact. And I've just picked a theme, which is the theme of the Global Innovation Index, which we released last week. That is unlocking the promise of social entrepreneurship. That means responding to community needs, responding to what Boda Boda is asking for. Like, what would a Boda Boda person require? They'd want a cheap piki. So instead of the imported piki or some components of that piki inside there. So what is the contribution, especially of the TVET, to a cheaper piki, whether it's just a small gadget inside there? They want cheaper petroleum. Can we get petroleum within our country, the one from Turkana and so forth? I'm sure it is you somewhere you can be able to help. What does Mama Mboga look for? What does jobs creation? What is the local content? What does Muklima look for? We are having a situation of fertilizers being imported to the country, which are harmful to our health. And you've seen that news is all over. You go to the supermarket, you do not know what to buy. They look very green. They look very nice. The tomatoes look very huge, very nice, very attractive. But their resource out there shows that they are dangerous. They are dangerous, especially in big cities like Nairobi. I know for most of you, if you're in the counties, you're able to get your product fresh from the farm, but this is a big issue in the country. So what is your contribution? Where are you able to say that as a TVET institution, we have contributed to even the wheel of the Boda Boda, or you have contributed to coming up with a cheap organic fertilizer, or you have created jobs, created a mini industry in the counties with the help of the governor and so forth. That is the question that we need to ask ourselves, and we need to document so that it's not subjective. It needs to be documented. Numbers never lie. So the data, as we said, is precious to a number of Kenya's competitiveness, and they're quite a number. But our focus is on number 1. Maybe we'll be required some point to focus on SDG index, because that's a global agenda. But number 1, if we do well in number 1, we are able to attract business. We are competing. Nairobi is competing with Addis Ababa. Nairobi is competing with Kigali at this particular point in time, very, very strongly. Nairobi is competing with in South African towns, Pretoria and so forth. And when we do well, even your pocket will improve and so forth. So it's a common agenda. Just want to come to as I said, I'll talk about the latest happening. The latest happening is last week, I think it was Thursday. the results of this year's 2024 Global Innovation Index were released by World Intellectual Property Organization in Geneva. And I just quickly, and us and our team captured some highlights of that. That the index captures innovation ecosystem performance of 133 global economies. Where is Kenya in this? Yeah, so it takes the pulse of 4 key stages innovation cycle. What are the science and innovation investment? So when we kindly request for you to request your board and your CEO or your principal to allocate some little resources for whether for research, whether for training, whether for manufacturing some products, it's part of that contribution, what they're calling science and innovation investment. Then you check on technological progress, adoption, and so forth. So I'll move quickly on that now, and this there. What are the parameters? What are the indicators in this Global Innovation Index? They are very simple things. The only thing as a country, we have not fully given our data. So we have improved in our ranking this year, but there's still a lot to be done. In fact, I'll show you somewhere where some information about the TVET sector is missing. I don't know whether we have anybody from TVETA today, but will help us. These are the parameters that they check. Knowledge creation, knowledge and technology outputs, human capital, business sophistication. You can Google this. So this is not something, it's readily available in the internet. And if you look at the champions this year, they're almost like the champions before. Yeah, this year is Switzerland, Sweden, US, and Singapore. And you can see Singapore and UK. Singapore is a very small country, tiny, almost like a city, for those who have gone there. But you can see they have invested at the top level of government to ensure that they meet some of those metrics. When you get your work measured, and that's why even the students that you train in your TVET institutions, you give them ranking, you give them score, because with that one, you're able to know the weaknesses and the strength and what you need to input. So we have operated in a culture of STI ecosystem where we have not been able to measure ourselves. So everybody is subjective. We are doing very well. We are good. We have 100 patents. Others we have 0. Others we have I don't know what. But can we apply this to the global metrics? Yes. So the innovation, what they're giving, I think this summary maybe not for this meeting, but there was less expenditure on R&D in the last year globally. So we know also you and ourselves, even as Nakosti, we are cash strapped on that. But even with the little that we have, let's see what we can do, because we cannot afford to stop inventing, to stop researching, to stop coming up with new ideas. But where Kenya excelled well is in that bullet number 3, venture capital investment. We have done very well. But the challenge on this one is that it is foreigners. If you look at who owns those venture capital investments, they are foreigners. So again, this might be very misleading, that we're doing very well, but it's foreigners. You come to Nairobi, there are certain estates literally which has people from other countries. And they're running their show in Nairobi. They're doing very well, but we are at the periphery of things. We really want to plead with the TVET sector. This is another area where we are, and which as Nakosti, as Kenya National Innovation Agency, as the National Research Fund, we can really put a strong case to government that we need a special focus on that, especially for some of your institutions that already have patents, which I hope you gave us the correct data. We are verifying that those patents with KIPI, because whatever you have done must also be on the record of KIPI. Kenya is, if you look at that, they have divided the Global Innovation Index. Again, you can Google this, into regions. So when you talk of Sub-Saharan Africa, the top in Sub-Saharan Africa, if you exclude the islands like Mauritius and Cape Verde, is South Africa, Botswana, and Senegal. When we check the table, Kenya is just missing out. We are number 4, actually below Senegal. Okay. Before, we used to oscillate between number 2 and number 3. So our data, we need to improve. And what I would want to shout, I think this is again the summary from that Global Innovation Index. And if you go to second bullet, 8 of the region economies move up the Global Innovation ranking, including Mauritius, Cape Verde, Senegal, and Kenya. We have moved from number 100 to 96. And I will tell you, this is simply because of the data we had to, our team and my good colleague, senior colleague, Dr. Ngigi, had to condense the data that you sent to us and work over Christmas holiday to send, because that was the deadline, and sent it to Geneva. And for that, we really thank you for those moving 4 steps. There's still a big room for improvement. Yes, we want to compete with South Africa, not with Botswana, not with Senegal. We want to be the best that we can have in Sub-Saharan Africa. The Northern Africa could be a little bit stronger because the economy is tied to that of Europe. So you look at again the 4th bullet, it says Kenya gains 4 ranks and performs well in venture capital recipients, in utility models, in ICT services, in labor productivity growth. These are elements of the TVET sector. So what would be a contribution into venture capital? Has the TVET sector tried to get access to these venture capitalists? Because for them, they rely on innovations. And if they see that that information can be converted into a company, into a product, they will invest in it. So I'm requesting, as part of your STI strategy, how we can work with TVET institutions that are ready to try and elevate them to a point where these venture capitalists can see them. We have philanthropists like our famous Manu Chandra. We have Vimal Shah. We have quite a number of these Bidco companies. Vimal is a Bidco company. We have quite a number of them, by the way. Dave Castile, the owner of Dave Castile. We have never purposed it to visit them with some good technology from any of TVET institutions. Just an example, and say, please, these people are able to produce the first Kenyan car, or the first Kenyan engine, or the first Kenyan aeroplane, and so forth. We are at times where that, I think, is the main issue. So we have extracted this table, but I've broken this table. We have moved from number 100 to number 96. Now, if we break down, this is our request to you. In addition to the data that you're providing in, I think, the 4, 5, 6 tables, which is already there, and we really thank you. And you can see the work is very easy, what our team has done. If there are no changes in any quarter, it just remains the same. Yes, this is like now the pillar. There are 7 pillars in this global innovation ranking. The first one is about institution. It talks of operational stability for businesses, government effectiveness, regulatory, business environment. This one is probably not for TVET. It could be for the Ministry of Industry, National Treasury, and so forth. So we are trying to get that data, because some of the data is actually old. Like you look at the 1.3.2, the last row, not applicable means we did not provide that data. So we are going to look at, we have so many entrepreneurship policies and culture in the universities, in the TVET institutions, but it seems we have not availed the data. So for that reason, they have given us 0. And that is not helpful at all. We come to human capital and research. This is where now you come in, distinguished participants. We need your help. In terms of education, expenditure on education, we are doing very well. One of our best, I think either second or third best. If you look at the ranking, yeah, we are number 51 out of, I think, 133 countries. So expenditure education, Kenya is being recognized to have invested heavily, and even more so in the TVET. But now we are missing things like government funding of secondary education. So we are getting in touch very urgently with the ministry, which is also your ministry, for TVET institutions, just to be able to get the data. School life expectancy, we know the number of years of CBC. So imagine the kind of marks we are losing. That is 0. Then PISA scales in maths and science. This is probably the work of KICD. So that data is not there. But what now comes closer to you is you look at 2.2 on tertiary education, and you're able to see that the data there is old, and we are performing very poorly at number 117. Tertiary enrollment, this is mostly like the TVET institutions. Again, that is, we were hoping TVETA can help us, your regulatory authority can help us to get that. Then graduates in science and engineering, you can see 0. This is the Commission for University Education. So this was really the purpose for which this STM thing was decided upon. And you can see it involves everybody. There's no single ministry, no single sector, no single area which can undertake this. And you have to do it jointly, collectively, and in a way that feeds directly into this. So the tables we have, somebody could have said, why are there so many? In fact, they're not even enough. You can see we are still missing out some data. So when we politely ask for this, know that it's for the sake of our country. So I'll keep on the rest. I think this is just the data. Like you look at now, if you're there, 5.1.3. This is the gross expenditure or research and development performed by businesses. As NACOSTI, we wrote to different businesses to give us the feedback. The response was very poor. So we will be requesting like the National Treasury or some of our leading ministries to try and get at this data. You can see we have 0, because probably they didn't know the importance of giving us that data so that we can relate. You can see again gross expenditure, what you're seeing as GERD, gross expenditure on R&D. That is the research happening in businesses. Like Safaricom does a lot of research quietly. Bidco does a lot of research quietly. Kenya Breweries does a lot of research quietly. There are a number of these private sector entities that do a lot of business because they compete. The banks, the insurance companies do a lot of research. But that data, you can see, we don't have it here. And that's why it's written not applicable. And it's not interesting because it's denying Kenya an opportunity to be classified as a competitive country, and it's denying Kenya the opportunity to attract business. So, as I said, we are competing strongly. Nairobi competing strongly with Addis Ababa. And it is this data which will determine where businesses go, because they'll check, do I invest in Addis Ababa or do I invest in Nairobi? Do I invest in Kenya? Do I invest in Ethiopia? And that data comes from you and me. That is actually what we wanted to reiterate. There are quite a number. You can see quite a number. So among the few that is missing, this is just what we were discussing with our team. Like if we are lacking the government funding in secondary, we are asking the Ministry of Education and the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, who are also implementing this system estimate, to give us that data in addition to the tables that we have. If we are lacking a very simple statement of school life expectancy, this is the CBC, how many years in primary, how many years in kindergarten, how many whatever, that should be automatic. But imagine we are getting 0 because that data is missing. If we are missing the reading of mathematics, this is competition. PISA scales is competition, and countries are classified. KICD can give us that. If we are lacking graduates in science and engineering, this is the Commission for University Education. If you're lacking logistics performance, we think KPA, Kenya Railways, Kenya National Bureau of Statistics can give us that. If you are lacking the amount of money spent on research, I think this is the third one, performed by businesses, then we think Kenya National Bureau of Statistics can give us that. If you're lacking the amount of money in research financed by businesses, then we will be requesting a private sector entity, KEPSA and CAM and Kenya National Bureau of Statistics to give us this, and so forth and so forth. This is really the value. And I just wanted to highlight some of the things like this slide we'll share is mostly for the universities. But at some point, also the ranking of TVET institutions is becoming very important. And this will be in terms of facts, well-known, globally established, so that NACOSTI or any other agency does not create our own indicators. We apply ourselves to what is already there globally. It might not be perfect, by the way. Yeah, just like the education system, we borrow and benchmark what is there out globally. It might not be perfect, but it's a point to start. So when you talk of universities and we're sharing with universities, one of the parameters, if you allow me just to go back, requires how many of your universities are ranked in the QS ranking system. Yeah, there. If you look at that 2.3.4, it talks of QS university ranking. Which of our top 3 universities are ranked there and what is their rank? Yes, and you can see it's 0. Probably that data has not been there. Okay, probably that data has not been there. But the latest ranking, and you might wish to know, and the ranking can be very tricky because people as of course, you might think you're doing very well, but when the data comes, we find that actually we are nowhere. So if I go back to that slide on QS rankings, for now, only 2 of our very good universities are there. That's the University of Nairobi and Kenyatta University. These are now the rankings for Africa, not the world. Out of the world rankings, we have selected for Africa as it came out in June 2023. There are new ones which has come out, I think you have not captured. But if you look at it, what is surprising is that the top position in Africa is South Africa, South Africa, South Africa, South Africa, then Egypt, South Africa, Egypt, South Africa, then even the University of Addis Ababa is ahead, then South Africa, then Egypt, South Africa. Even Makerere is ahead of University of Nairobi. I don't know what kind of, University of Nairobi is very, very good, but it's probably Makerere University is giving their data or availing their data in their system, unlike the University of Nairobi. So sometimes we end up being complacent and lose out. And this is what I request the TVET institutions. But do you have a matrix in which to assess yourself? In terms of those of you who are doing patented, in terms of you, those are commercializing your products, in terms of you, those of you are training in specialized areas, like now people are talking of AI. Yeah. So this needs to be in the hands of mainstream government. It needs to be in the hands of National Treasury. It needs to be the hands of the various ministries that are in charge of PC. So you have only Kenyatta University at number 23 in Africa, not in the world, in Africa. Then Kenyatta University is number 34. Then there are no other universities in that QS ranking. How many universities do we have? 78, 77 there. So something is amiss, and we will be requesting the CUE to undertake on this. There's another ranking called Chimago Research and Innovation Ranking. I've just picked the latest, the day before yesterday. And this, again, we're just focused on Africa because when you go globally, we disappear somehow. The top institutions in Kenya, and we're very happy to mention KEMRI, we are very happy to mention ILRI, you're happy to mention University of Nairobi. We would want a scenario, because this is open to even TVET institutions. Based on your number of patents, based on matter of investments in research, I guess 1 or 2 research TVET institutions can fit in there. But for now, you have not, again, subjected yourself to this competition. But you can see Kemri, ILRI, UON, World Agroforestry, Aga Khan University has come out very strongly, a young university. You can see ISIPE, KU, Egerton, JKUAT, Maseno, Moi University, Technical, and then it ends there. These are the only universities ranked under the Chimago ranking in research and innovation. Again, the leaders, South Africa, University of Cape Town, Africa Health Research Institute, South Africa, Cairo, University of Witwatersrand, Johannesburg, Stellenbosch, and so forth. So please help us work out on this. And that is the kind of data that you can use to apply for money to government. You can use to request for Treasury that you have done so well that we need a little bit of top up so that we can continue uplifting the name of Kenya. Now, on the global innovation rankings, this is a table which shows how different countries performed in various pillars. At the top, yes, I think I've gone exactly 30 minutes, maybe another 5 minutes. At the top, you can see Switzerland, Sweden, United States. You can see just Switzerland, the overall #1 globally, and they've been that for the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, because they invest heavily on those global innovation rankings. You would ask yourself, why do they invest? Because they're able to attract businesses inside their country. In Switzerland, over 70 to 75% of research funding is from the private sector, not from the government, from the private sector. And that's why their ranking attracts more and more. They've created a conducive environment to attract funding from the private sector. Now, if that were to happen, I'm sure TVET would benefit strongly because you are the front line of innovations and technology. Universities do basic research, publish, and it ends there. But the one who now moves from now that published work to a product that helps Mama Mboga and Wanjiku is really the TVET sector and the research institutions. This is how Kenya performed. You can see the heat map. This came last week. Kenya is overall number 96. If you look at what is there, I hope my mouse is visible. Yes, it's number 96. And then in institutions, that pillar, it's number 87. So that is better than overall ranking. That means we did well there. But we did very poorly on human capital and research. TVET institutions, just like CUE, just like others, we focus on human capital development. So again, something is missing here. Either we have not given good information about human capital and research. Then infrastructure. Again, we did better than human capital, but not so good because we are below 96. Market sophistication, not good. Yes, business sophistication, we are doing fairly well. Knowledge and technology outputs, we are doing very, very well. Then creative outputs, again, we are not doing well. So these numbers never lie. And the other thing which could be of great interest to TVET sectors is what they're calling science and technology cluster rankings. They have introduced this. And so far, what determines those ones, distinguished participants, is the patent filing activity and scientific article publication. We see TVET contributing to #1 very well. It's not filling, but patent filing, patent applications. TVET could take the lead, and it could be a very good report even if captured in the news, how TVET is contributing to patent filing in the country to keep it. On the other hand, universities and research institutions and even other MDS could contribute to scientific publication. And you know, this one, patent filing is through a process. Publications is not just any publications. It's publications that are in the Web of Science Citation Index expanded, STIE. We have a number of our researchers, our PhD doctors, professors, and so forth. We publish, you can have a special somebody has published so many articles, but not even one of them is in these recognized global journals. STI mainstreaming is actually trying to insist on that. It's trying to ask you, how many journals do we have? And out of these, how many are Scopus journals and how many are non-Scopus journals? We appreciate what you have published locally, but we encourage you to publish even more at another level. So again, doing very well. I'll skip on that. In Kenya, we only have one cluster so far. It's Nairobi, what they're calling Nairobi Science and Technology Cluster. Yes, Cote d'Ivoire, like Abidjan, Algeria, Algiers, but there are others which are more than one of those. So I'll skip on that again, and just quickly, this slide, remind ourselves when we come to the core business of NACOSTI, the core of the core. We have 17 functions, but 2 are very critical. One is registration and accreditation of research institutions. Up to date, we have 33, as shown on the screen. We are getting government institutions wanting, like the Kenya Institute of Building and Highway Research and something, the sports, whatever, there are advantages to registering as a research institution. So if you have a TVET institution which has a very strong wing and a research section which can be labeled, and you want to register so that the benefits that come, we send application for scholarships, PhDs, masters, and so forth, opportunities for attending conference and so forth and we have been sending it, I think, to all the focal points. And most of the people have been benefiting are research institutions and universities. If you have institutions within your institution which can register, please go ahead. But of great interest is licensing. Please ensure that all, in line with section or subsection 12.3 of the Science, Technology, and Innovation Act, which I would emphasize, any person undertaking or intending to undertake research in science and technology in this country, in our country, Kenya, or who accesses, handles, or transfers any material or technology or moves it within wherever shall apply to the commission. If you don't, then I think as we implement directive from the head of public service on implementation of functions, you might find yourself on the other wrong side of the law. We have not applied this, but now I think as a requirement of government that we need to demonstrate that. So you look at the definition of research. It's a very simple, it doesn't have to be a high-level research. The reason we are doing that is that licensing is for several purposes. You might be doing something very small, but just direct bearing on national security, and you're not even aware. Like when you produce a fertilizer, which ends up producing a harmful food product, a harmful tomato, or a harmful maize cob, or a harmful whatever, you are directly impinging on public safety and to some extent on national security, but you're not aware. Okay? When you go and take the traditional technologies, like happened during COVID, and you convert those traditional technologies into some product which you want to sell, then you are impinging on cultural IP rights of communities. That is illegal. Because almost all our regions have some community, especially traditional medicine. Okay, you go Western, you go Northern, you go Southern, you go Eastern, we have that. So unless you're changing and adding value to that traditional technology, if you just get some concoction, you get some concoction of Barobaini, and you start packaging and selling it in the way that the communities do, that is illegal. It might be a very small thing, a very small undertaking. That's why literally anything to do with research, we need 2 licenses. And the process takes 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen, at Nakosti. We could have other checks that happen at other institutions, but of course it takes 2 weeks. The cost is very low. It's 1,000, almost like the cost is exactly the cost that you use to apply for certificate of good conduct from the police. So the cost is very low. If it's a diploma, it's even 100 shillings. So imagine 100 shillings. Even when you transact 100 shillings over M-Pesa, it's like the cost of transacting is higher than the actual value. So the cost is very low. We are not after money. Although we need money, but you're not after money. The government has subsidized this, but that is why any small thing that you do needs to be documented so that somebody, it doesn't affect, we check, ensure that it doesn't affect national security, public safety, culture rights, it doesn't affect Kenya's international obligations, which at Constitution says that whatever Kenya has signed for is law. It doesn't affect nature, it doesn't affect the environment, and so forth and so forth. So please do that. Because of this case, which came recently in March 2027, where a foreigner was actually getting blood samples from at least in Iten. Just imagine that. I think I've shared this slide before. Just imagine this scenario where you or your children, your family, somebody is taking blood samples from there. Just imagine a case like those of you coming from the Coast Province, where the baobab tree was going out of the country, and yet that tree, the experts indicate that it can treat cancer, it can treat a number of things. So what were these people going to do with a whole baobab tree? And you saw the ones which were planted in one of the countries all died, literally almost convincing us that the baobab have some spiritual life in them. So these are key things. That's a great asset of the Mijikenda people or the coastal people, but somebody is taking it out without checking. It's a research undertaking. If they applied for a research license, we would have declined it. Yes. So please help us also on this, working on the counties. So very similar to that, the emerging issues, concerns on research security. Yes, 40 minutes, so I need to stop. Yeah, concerns on research security and integrity. This is a global issue. It's about espionage. It's about when you engage with non-Kenyans, be aware that the information that you give could be used against Kenya. And that's a national security concern. And eyes of the government that are involved in national security are actually checking on that. the main front of development and competition and global superpower now is research, science, technology, innovation. You might have heard of the unfortunate happenings in the Middle East. You might have heard of a country or a system using the pager. Maybe the next time they're going to use the mobile. So the war is now being fought in the front lines of research, science, technology, innovation. It is that serious. It's a national security which we cannot ignore. You've seen what has happened. I think you've heard the news, wherever you are, of using a pager. I think what they've not used is now the mobile, but they're using gadgets that are being used. Any form of communication that you hold in your hand. They might even use a mouse that I'm holding in my hand. They might even use my laptop that I'm using now. And when you least expect, it explodes on you. So what will be very simple. It will not be big aeroplanes and whatever. It will be a very simplified gadget. Somebody can poison the water that comes from your area. Okay? So it's an area which we need your support. We have already got in touch with the county commissioners on that area. So in whichever county you have, please try and work with the county commissioners team just from the security, national security angle. And it's changing. This just a slide which says, this from the UK. They have created a special agency just to work on national security. They're saying science, technology, and academia are as much on the front lines of national security as other critical infrastructure. So this for another topic. In fact, that is part of the training, the module 1 training that was being offered by our team from the Ministry of Interior. Sensitive technologies research areas. Moving forward as Nakosti, there are certain researches that if you undertake, it will be forwarded to other agencies of government just to monitor, to track you. And we know we are all now very excited about artificial intelligence and big data. That has been classified in Canada and elsewhere to be what you're calling sensitive technology area. They have dual use. You can use it for the progress of mankind. You can use it to also destroy mankind. And AI, I think I showed you a slide where they faked a video of Musa Faki, the head of AU, and it went to all European centers. And you can imagine how war can start. So this, so far, they listed robotics and autonomous systems. Robotics is a core area of TVET institutions, and so forth and so forth. So just to conclude, once more, indeed, we are very happy. We want just to reaffirm the importance of STI or RSTI as a game changer. We want to update you of the latest, and we want to really request that we undertake a whole of government approach. Thank you. Thank you very much. And as usual, we might take 1 or 2 burning questions. A good number might have been responded by our team, and they will respond. But if there are burning questions that we can respond to, then please go ahead. Thank you. Back to you, Chair of the session, Dr. Ngigi.
Okay. Thank you so much, Professor, for that insightful presentation. Distinguished participants, I think now we've heard the story. And as we come toward the end of the sensitization, it's your forum now, it's your opportunity. Would be glad enough if there are burning issues that Director General can respond to. You have an opportunity to raise your hand. You'll be empowered to ask the question. If there's any, so that feel free, comment, your suggestion will be well received.
Yes, am I still audible?
Yes, I'm just being shown a chart.
Reporting template.
This is from Sadi Abele. Thank you very much. The reporting template on the system seems to look simpler. You're happy you have tried to make it simpler as much as possible. However, this is a lot of work for a focal person. Yeah, Sadi, I just want to say that it's a lot of work for the first time when you do it, especially when you're new. Once you have done it, the data is captured automatically by the system. So when you come to the second quarter, you will only add
the changes. So is it audible? Yeah, okay. So initially, it looks like a lot of work the first time you do it, because you have to upload the data anyway. We all do that even with the National Treasury guidelines. But you have made it simpler, like we are doing the national strategy and so forth. Once you've done that, it's once you'll just be adding the changes. So I hope that helps us. But as you have seen, we need the data. It's not something that we can go around it. Then as a way to motivate us, I wish that you also organize physical trainings and also allowing us to collect the certificates by the end of PC by writing to institutions that certificates are ready for collection. I think our team that is taken out, the certificates, the training, I think there's a training module 1 that we have shared and module 3, depending on the number of participants. You can have your special requests. We can send to your institution, our team of 2-3 persons. But the best is when it's collective. And we see Naivasha as a center. It's central from the western side, it's central from the northern side, it's central from the eastern side. So Naivasha, but if you have another area that you'd want us to undertake the training, you can also do it. So training is coming. And the last one was very, 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 I think, very, very exciting. Even for me, I was excited because we brought other players who knew more than we knew. Yeah, any other one? You can quickly add on the chat, but you can also directly, think you can be given what? Panelist rights? Yeah, there's another chat.
Yes. Anybody who would wish to raise the question, you can raise your hand, be given the opportunity as we scroll through the chat for more of your comments and suggestions. Okay. Yes, most of what you had raised on the chat have been, I believe, adequately responded. But please, this is your opportunity. If should you need to okay, this is from who? From this Mugambi. I'm wondering, is it anyone or not that one? What happened to TTC who are yet to be trained in or captured in the GPCI system?
Dr. Ngigi, you can answer that?
Yes, what happened to TTC? I think this will be based on your request. You can always make this request. We will be glad to work with you through this journey, build capacity of your team, your committees. Again, those who have not been added on the system will be more than willing. We have already recorded a number of the TTI who have raised that request. We will be able to add you on the list of institutions. Those who will be reporting on this indicator is a very important and welcome suggestion. What will happen to those who missed module 1? Again,
I can, yeah. Yeah, that one, as we said, it's coming up again in next month. What you don't know is end month or mid month good, which is the best for you? Because it's coming up in November. It can be mid-November or end of the last week of November. You can chat there and say which time you prefer. But it's coming, and also module 3 on research ethics. Okay, another one. You can check again.
Agnes, I don't know. You say in those physical training, is it possible to invite institution for the same?
Again, what is it?
I think it's Agnes. Would you wish to complete the question because you are asking for those physical trainings?
Those physical trainings, is it possible to invite institutions
for the same? Is it face-to-face or the same training?
Yeah, in physical, we normally invite institutions to nominate. And in this case, you have been requested to write to the CEO, the principal, in your case, but we will also send to you so that you can go and persuade the CEO. That's what we learned the other time. The other time we sent to the CEOs, set of institutions to nominate, and because of the austerity measures, a good number did not nominate. But sometimes you can go and persuade your boss. So we will send, I think Dr. Ngigi will send both to the CEO to nominate and also to the focal point. Not focal point and focal point. We normally send to focal point. So to the focal point so that you can request the CEO to nominate you plus your champions who are there.
Yes, there's one which says now with the data required, and we only have 15 days, would you add a few days to be able to capture the data more? Yeah, the challenge, we really want to do this. the challenge is that we are also being under the supervision of the Ministry of Public Service. But what we request you is that the few of you might have this challenge to get directly in touch with your secretariat. There's Mr. Miani, there's Mr. Rolex, or even you can escalate it to Dr. Ngigi, and they will assist you now to fast track the feeding in of that data, and even Mr. Yegon. So those could be few cases, unique cases. It looks massive, but it's not massive. So there's data, a good number of the data you'll get it from your finance officer. The other one will be from your research, the person in charge of research. Within a day, you've got that data. But the feeding in, our team can easily assist you on that. Is it a must to attend module 1 before we're going to module 2? That's an important question. So far, in all the 8 modules, we have not written as part of the course content that this is a prerequisite. So I think it's not a must. It's not a must. They just ordered somebody. There's even a module on national security and something. You might have people from the security sector wishing for that. We have not added the content that this is a prerequisite to that one. And if you check on the modules again, you can still pick, because this is stakeholder based, you can still pick on what you think is of interest. And if you have enough quorum, then you can go ahead like the TVET. You can engage as TVET and say, for us, out of these 8 modules, we think our priorities are 1, 2, 3, and you write to us jointly, and we'll take that measure, because it's important. It's important that we keep on the same page. Additional advantage is that when we have these trainings, we also give you the latest that happens in the STI sector, like what could have happened last week, which is very relevant to Kenya. Technology is changing very fast, just like ICT. So what was there 5 months ago might even be obsolete. Yes, some people are still talking of 4th industrial revolution. We're in the 5th industrial revolution, where humanity is connecting to technology, the way Elon Musk is doing. So we also give you the latest that we can, and we can also bring on board the experts. Maybe next time, which we are thinking, I'm just thinking now, is to invite the recently appointed special envoy on technology, who was appointed by His Excellency the President, Mr. Philip Tigo, to come and share his thoughts in one of the sessions. So I guess it will be quite interesting, but depends on you. It depends on if your institution is able to allocate some little money. It's really subsidized. Yes, I think we charge what, 50, 55 or, yeah, and that's for 5 days. Yeah, 5 days. You will find people charging 80 for 3 days. This is for 5 days. We pay resource persons to be able to give you quality persons. And that is, it's more like breaking even. We don't make any profits on that. Okay, any other? For new entrants, I'm seeing another one.
For new, yeah, for new entrants, must their STI institution strategy be approved first before uploading the annual? Can they be uploaded concurrently? Dr. Ngigi or Miani, could you answer?
Yes, I think for new entrants, and I've seen if you are referring to the annual work plan. Yes, annual work plan, because
is audible. Okay, fine.
Annual work plan, you're uploading directly on the system. It is downloadable. You can download for internal processing or internal consultation and concurrency. But for now, we are not asking you to attach a document that has been approved. But once you fill it, the online system, you can download for internal concurrency. Because perhaps if there's cost implication, you may need to engage the authority. But for STI strategy, again, STI strategy journey is we will have the backstopping, the technical input, but the approval is at your institutional level. You're head of your institution to approve the strategy once it's ready. The other one is what happened for a new institution which just launched last month, but would like to join. We still require to fill in the lots of data. Yes, I think it is important, because what you're asking for the data that is you are able to generate. Different institutions are at different levels, different capacities. So you want to feel what is doable at your level. It is for us to appreciate where you are at your state and the journey we are working together. So even the new institution, you still have something to report. And this is what we really want to appreciate. Make effort. And as indicated, we have the team to really work with you so that really it is our duty to facilitate internalizing this and effective implementation. So you should be able to report what is doable.
Yes. Just to continue, I'm seeing another one, Immaculate Ataro. Along with innovation, can someone take an innovation and later modify it to give it value? Yes, of course, that is what scientific development is all about. So long as there is what you have modified is of value. Yes, it can be described as a scientific, what do you call it, an inventive step. And in this one, you can consult. Yes, because you'll be clearly be saying that up to here, this is so-and-so's technology, I have added this. Nobody invented a car. The car was not invented by one person. A number of things, a building is not invented by one person. It is a number of inventors coming together to give different components of that one. So long as the most important, what is difficult is to draw the line of what is an inventive step. Thank you. And even in terms of patenting, there are 4 or 5 types of patents. The IP rights rather. One is the patent, but there is also trademarks where people have just changed the shape of a bottle, water bottle or a beer bottle, and they get trademarks registration with KIPI. So this, I think there's 1 or 2 of the modules that really talks on patenting and commercialization. And in this one, even our sister agency, Kenya National Innovation Agency, I think has been undertaking some training on this. That is the missing link in the Kenyan ecosystem, how to patent and how to convert those patents to commercialized products to help your institution. Because where we are getting the money from the exchequer even to institutions, as you know, is not assured, but we're allowed to come up with things, how you can generate your own money, and then tell the government you have generated this. Part of this we take to National Treasury, allow us to use this, and you can be very rich. Yes, and just an example I gave yesterday is an institution like Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University, a team of some 3, 4, 5 people wrote to USAID and got a research funding of 7 billion. 7 billion. And it's happening. People are getting monies there. Now, what we want to bring on board is TVET teams inside those or part of those university teams that are getting those funding. We are the national focal point for a number of obligations, as you're aware, and they have funding. The ICGB, the Biological Vehicles Convention, the IAEA, and they're funding to that effect, which I think last time we sent of ICGBs, either sponsoring masters, PhDs, or just research. But we are insisting on a multi-sector approach. We are insisting, if you can check, if you're aware or you're not aware, you can Google what we're calling the quintuple helix approach. That's having 5 teams. The academia, the academia where you are, the industry, the government of Kenya, Wanjiku, that's the community, and then your environment. You might be an environment where there's war. You might be an environment where there's flooding. You might be an environment where there are some things which are abnormal there. So your performance and capacity there is actually dependent on your environment. So that is quintuple helix. We are moving away from the triple helix to the quintuple helix. Thank you. Yes, is it possible for NACOSTI in collaboration with KIPI to organize a training on IP? It is actually one of the modules, and KIPI will be part of it. In our PC, one of our PC targets this year is actually to work with KIPI to go to the regions to create awareness on this. So again, that's our team has taken note. If we can, and I think Dr. Ngiri is quite important. Instead of even advertising for 2 modules in November, we can add this as a 3rd module. IP rights, commercialization, and bring relevant teams. It's very, very urgent. So we will do so. I think our team has recorded. Yeah, any other? Because I would want to, after finishing this, to allow you now to ask questions to our team. We normally have a plenary. So if there's any other one which I could respond before allowing a team. Yeah, please also remember to forward the final certificates. Yes, certificates should be on time. And Mr. Yagona, Mian, and Rolex have been very good at that. Madam Lilian Awala has come on board, and others, I think, will now be able to do much. Anything? There's a lot to learn, and you would wish that the commission to organize for a physical practicum. That word practicum is we are not so used to it. But your word, Dr. Gigi, practicum is now moving. Please, sometimes the challenge we get is we could advertise, and then the turnout becomes very low. Probably because of the austerity measures when you go to the board. So we really need your support because you have gone this training. We are thinking of maybe a session at high-level sessions for CEOs so that when we ask them to nominate some of you, then they're able to do that. But as of now, it's you to go and convince your CEO and your boss that this is a very, very important training. Last time we had the same, actually. People were very desperate to come to Naivasha. Others came, we allowed them to come on debt, so long as they committed that they'll pay later on. But others just said, I'm sorry, I want to come, but my boss tells me the cash flow is not working. So that's why we want to give you like over 4 weeks. If we do it mid of November or end of November, then I think it gives enough time to lobby to get that money. It's a very important training, I think, for all of us. No, plan, I think our team will answer plan, but I'm seeing for those in Part B, you have set high level of reporting, collaborations, but we have those upcoming institutions who have not reached that level. What are they going to fill in? Thank you. Yeah, if we look at that Part B, or what we're calling Stream B, there are so many ways you can get. There are those who are able to fill it very quickly. But if you are new, one, you need to collaborate. The other one, you can just support. If you look at alternatives, because you are saying either this or that or that. You can collaboration is not a difficult thing. Just write to an institution that, please, in this your project, we want to collaborate. Our contribution is ABCD. Because this is actually a government requirement. It's not us who have set it. The government, when JICO wants impacts. Yes, so you and me are charged with that responsibility that we're in a government institution, we have to demonstrate some impact. So our team will be able to understand your situation and be able to advise that based on your situation, you have just come on board, you can do A, B, C, D. But you definitely cannot do zero. There'll be something definitely you might do which is impacting. Otherwise, the purpose of our existence will be very difficult to explain if you can't impact on Wanjiku in whichever small way. Okay, any other? Yeah, thanks. Thanks. The feedback on the physical training that you carry out, especially having the focal person, having the information to use to talk to the CEO. We hope it will work for us. And also appreciate the training. It's always insightful. Thanks. That's good. And thank you for the commendation. I think Dr. Ngigi will write immediately within this week so that they can have time to lobby. Yes, I can assure you those who attended, the 100 or so attended the other one, they didn't regret, because we could see we were to end the session by midday, but it ended up to 3 p.m. based on demand. They are demanding more information than we had from the teams, especially from the Minister of Interior. Yeah, we will suggest a date. As I said, it could be mid, or Dr. Ngigi, could it be from 20-something? 20-something of November. Yeah, from 20-something, that's normally the best. It's a 5-day training, so it can be 25th to 30 or 20th to 25th and so forth. If there's any other request, but then we are likely to have 2, as we're saying, 2 adverts, and depending on the turnout, we can combine into one class. So there are a lot of innovative things that we can do. So we'll advise 3. We'll advertise for 3 of the modules. Any other urgent one? I think I'm taking more of the plenary time. They're done. Dr. Ngigi, they're all done?
We're done.
Yeah. So with that,
I hand you back to Dr. Ngigi. Allow me just once more to really reiterate our thank you for sparing your time to be here. You are the preachers of this unique gospel of RSTI, first to the people within your institution, and then to your top management, and then beyond. Because NACOS is coming to the counties as part of our PC. I wouldn't call it counties. We're coming to the regions. Like we may come to Eldoret and get the counties around there and call for stakeholders. So we'll be requesting you, when we even come to your counties, please, it could be like a 3-day event just to engage in maybe the western counties, the northern counties, and so forth. So please request us focal persons to be there. We just had a very interesting engagement with the nominees of county commissioners. Just to inform you that the county commissioners, all the 47 county commissioners, are now appointing county focal persons who can help in monitoring what is happening in their counties. And we'll be very pleased to link you up with the county STI focal person, wherever you are. Yeah, thank you. And God bless. Back to you, Dr. Gita.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Professor. And thank you so much, our participants, for this engagement and for the follow-up and suggestion. You still have an opportunity to raise your hand. Okay, can be who is Agnes? You can raise your question or comment.
There's just one something which everyone can respond to. There was someone not seeing the slides. Today I've logged into several screens appeared. There was a screen which was appearing of the presenter, another screen of the slides. There are some who maybe logged on to the
wrong screen. Are you able to explain?
I'm seeing somebody saying here that kindly check screen sharing. We are seeing more of the professor than the slides. I think this is more of the screen that they click, because here we were able to see the screen. We were able to see the screen there. So you also need to tell people how to, these ICT things are not ours. So for whoever asked inquired about that question of the only seeing of the professor, it's probably that you clicked. There are several screens. You could have clicked the wrong screen. There's a screen which has the presenter. There's a screen which has the article. So maybe in future we'll alert you on that one. Is that correct?
Okay. On that note, also we still have tomorrow session. So for that person who never had a chance to view the presentations, kindly join again for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Good. I think that's a good response.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that is all.
Back to you, Dr. Gill.
Okay. Thank you, Professor. Yes, I understand. Agnes wish to raise a question. Unmute. Agnes, unmute and ask your question. Agnes, you're still muted. Okay. Perez. Masinda, you can ask your question.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, afternoon.
I think I didn't know my hand was up. Whatever I wanted to ask, I think had been handled already. I got it along the way.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you so much then. We don't want to close anyone out with the issue. Follow-up, suggestion, question. Yes, I can see one for Jacqueline Munene. Do you charge participant for training? No, we don't, because we take care of the venue and the resource persons, whereas you will be expected to cater for your transport and your accommodation. The cost that you charge is more of resource persons who are engaged. So the cost would address the cost of the venue, and yourself will be expected to be facilitated from your end for your transport and accommodation for the number of days that you'll be there. Okay, I can see the one for Alex Matheri. Must a focal person be a staff in the research department? Not necessarily. The guides, they are just, it is depend on the institution, because the focal person is a person who coordinates. It just the focal point of coordinating the others. So could nominate a focal person based on the requirements that are available on our website, be sitting in any department, just anybody that high level who can be able to manage and chair the committee and coordinate the activities of the committee, but not necessarily from the research department. Okay. I think, having not seen any other issues, no hand is raised. May I take this opportunity really to thank you so much for your time, for sparing your time. It has been really a long session, but a very important one. and a very productive one. We've taken your comment and suggestion very positively. You've really guided us on the area to focus and really train our attention so that we're able to respond to your specific need. Again, remember what we are saying is that we all have different specific needs. So you are free to reach out with your specific areas or need or support. We should be able to do that. That's our commitment as we progress. I know this next 2 weeks will be very critical as we prepare for reporting. Again, do not hesitate to reach out to us for support and for assistance in case you get stuck, because we will need to facilitate you implement this indicator with the needs. So I think with that, then we really want to bring this session to an end, and thank you, your institution, for having allowed you to be here. And we want to commit to work with you this journey, the next 2-3 quarters. We should be able to repeat this every quarter before reporting, so that we are able to take care of your concern. But in between the sensitization, you're free to seek our support, and we should be able to avail what is needed. So having said that, thank you so much. I want to wish you a nice afternoon. And as we prepare for reporting, we really want to encourage you that this is the spirit. This is what the government wants us to do together. We are in it together. So asanteni sana. And the presentation, as you have been asking, they will be shared, because we know these are materials that you may need for your preparation. So asanteni sana and kwaheri.